Orange Lounge Radio. With your hosts, Dark Sakura, Sky, and Loki.
This week, two massively multiplayer experiences are fading away. Sony announced the PlayStation Home will be shut down next year, and Blizzard revealed that their next MMO, codenamed Titan, is no more. The news is not all bad, and we'll tell you about it right now on the show, where every gamer has a voice.
Orange Lounge Radio.
Hello, my friends out there on the internet, and welcome back to another week of the show where every gamer has a voice. It is Orange Lounge Radio, live on this Sunday night, September the 28th, 2014, with episode number 569 of our program. That is right. It has been 500 weeks since, 500 shows, I guess, since the infamous episode 69, where Techmaster Loki, right over there, did karaoke with Karaoke Revolution and sang. In fact, I just got a tweet about this earlier this week, where somebody said, I cannot listen to Gloria Gaynor did that song, right? I'm Coming Out. I cannot hear that song anymore without... Was it Donna Summer? I don't even know. I cannot hear that... Thank you, Dark Sakura or Jamie Summers. I cannot hear that song anymore without hearing Loki actually singing the changed lyrics in my head.
I'm sorry.
You've ruined music forever.
Yes. I think as soon as I open my mouth to sing that song against my will, yeah.
All right. So what? What'd I do?
Tangling you. We're all tangled, and I have to untangle everybody because it's like I can't.
If we're tangled, can I be Flynn Rider? All right.
No.
And
It'd be the worst.
I don't know why they're not hearing you for some reason. Are you?
How about thou?
Yeah, you weren't talking into it, I don't think.
Maybe.
All right. Well, you know it is a live program. We have all those live problems. So, of course, we do tape live every Sunday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern at the Voice of Geeks Network, vognetwork.com, right after the Bobby Blackwolf Show. My name is Rob Roberts, and as introduced a moment ago, she is Dark Sakura, or Jamie Summers,
Yep.
and he is Techmaster Loki.
Yep.
Welcome back to the show, by the way, Dark Sakura.
Thank
I know
you.
you've been extremely busy with all your cubes and tech type of things that you do. So hopefully things are calming down a slight
No,
bit for
they're
you.
not.
Oh.
They're not at all.
But you're here.
But I'm here. Well, I had also worked like 37 hours in 3 days right before that, and then had worked that morning.
Mm-hmm.
Came home, passed out, woke up with a raging headache and no voice.
Yeah.
So
It's a bummer because you missed a fun show last week. I don't know if you had a chance to hear it yet, but we had the general manager, Mike, from Jackbox Games was here. It was kind of a fun little party game reflection episode with You Don't Know Jack and Fibbage and all that stuff. It was a good time.
as they say, c'est la mort.
I know, it happens. It happens. But we have at least one more interview coming up. I'm trying to get a couple others for the end of the year. So don't get sick anymore, Dark Sakura, because you don't know what you're going to miss.
Okay. But you know what?
But what?
They gave us pizza at work. That was awesome.
I don't know. Pizza.
Pizza.
Video games. All right, pizza. All right. Techmaster Loki, how have you been?
I've been okay.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to break an addiction.
okay. I know where we get into how is
Go
your
down
gaming,
the pipe.
I know we get into how is your gaming week a little later in the show, but this is too good. You have to tell us about your latest addiction.
Oh, it was just, I think I'm over it. I even cheated just to try to get it over with quicker, but I unfortunately ran across one of the random articles that were floating around on a bunch of different websites talking about a game called Clicker Heroes. I was sitting at work. This is the point they've already shut down our system. I literally can't do anything. I'm like, I'm going to sit here and program on my computer. Oh, wait. What's this article? Clicker Heroes. Okay. I'll play this for a second. Oh, this is kind of like Cookie Clicker. And 3 hours later, that was that. And then I come home. I'm like, okay, that was fun, but I'm not going to play it here.
click.
It's like, God damn it. I'll play it for another 5 minutes. And yeah, and they were like, see, because the game plays itself when you're not playing it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna check in and see how much.
See how my clicking's going when I'm not there with my auto clicks. Yeah, that Cookie Clicker shit's addicting. And it really blows my mind that they don't have an official iPhone app. I mean, there's like 10,000 knockoffs in the store, and I'm sure this is the same thing on Android. I just happen to be an iPhone user myself. So I see that there's like 10,000 of these Cookie Clicker clones, and then all this other crap too. Like the one that I've played will advertise for Sushi Clicker, which you just tap on. It's the same fucking thing, but it's just sushi. And then like all this other lame crap too.
This one's a little bit different because you're not just like tapping to like generate stuff. You're basically killing monsters, and so each monster has certain HP. And every 5 levels, you get a boss monster that you have to kill in a certain time frame. So if you don't have enough DPS going into it, you have to.
Almost sounds like Theatrhythm, except Theatrhythm's set to music.
Yeah, and so if you don't have enough, DPS and damage with your clicks and stuff, you have to like, kind of grind a little bit. But the game will play itself when you're not playing it, and and it just gets kind of addicting, I guess.
Going to some of our comments in our live chat room over at live.vognetwork.com, SSJ100 Matt says, I know people who have laptops solely dedicated to Cookie Clicker, just constantly running.
Well, see, this, you don't even have to have it constantly running. You can save your game if you want, and then when you don't want to play it, you just close it and forget about it and come back like later on.
I thought Cookie Clicker did the same thing, where even if you're not there, the auto-click still clicks for you. I thought that was a thing.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway. And then an anonymous chatter in our chat room says, I'm surprised Loki isn't addicted to all those weird Clash of Clan-esque games.
No, I keep seeing the stupid advertisements on like my Reddit app on my phone and stuff, and I was showing my son Angry Birds today, or not Angry Birds, Flappy Bird, because he thought it was funny to tap the button once and watch the bird head plant into the ground. So he just did that like for about 5 minutes. But I just keep seeing the advertisements for the Clash of Clans things, and I was picking him up from his like My Gym thing. It's like kind of this thing where they go and play and stuff, but the people that were there, like the people that watch the kids and stuff, were talking about it. He's like, yeah, I'm a total gamer. He's like, my clan's doing this stuff, and I'm like thinking, oh, you like play Call of Duty or something. I'm playing Clash of Clans. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, all the ads I see for that freaking game, it kind of actually turns me off.
I don't know.
It's like the same reason I don't watch Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad or whatever other TV show gets super hyped up, because everybody always talks nonstop about how amazing these programs are, and it just, I don't know, it's that inherent 2-year-old in me that just goes like, well then no. Like
every time anyone said, this show's awesome, and I've sat down to watch it, I've been like, bored now.
Yeah.
Except for Supernatural.
And then, I don't know why, but
Tiger Claw, you don't know what you've done.
What did Tiger Claw do?
You've just ruined so much productivity.
Oh, somebody asked in the chat, what game is it? And Tiger Claw linked it, clickerheroes.com. Oh, no, I said it. Oh, no.
Save yourself. Just don't do it. Don't click on it.
Orange Lounge Radio, ruining lives. Brad from Pod Culture says Doctor Who. That is one of the shows that, despite all the hype, I will still have to bring myself to watch at some point, because I did watch a little bit of it and I did enjoy it. I've seen some Ninth Doctor. What?
I've been watching it since I was 4.
Have you watched a lot of the new ones, though? I didn't think you were on top of the new ones.
Yeah, I've watched most of the new ones. I just haven't been watching this season.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I've been too busy and haven't had time.
Well, that's okay, because that means you can binge watch it later.
If I feel like it.
So it goes.
And Breaking Bad's actually supposed to be pretty good. I've only watched the first couple seasons, and it wasn't that great the first couple seasons, but I hear it gets really good. And there's only a finite amount of shows. So when you're done, you're done. I mean, it's not like Game of Thrones, which still has, several seasons coming, or Doctor Who.
Breaking Bad bored the fuck out of me.
I try not to watch new shows, because then they get canceled and I get really pissed off that I invested myself into these shows that end on these cliffhangers. But because I like Batman, I did watch Gotham this week, which for me is like a really big deal that I sat down and I watched a TV drama. I never do that, but I did watch Gotham this week, and there were things I liked and things I didn't like. I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people on Twitter sure seem to, but it had some issues, including 5,000 cameos that didn't need to all be in the first 30 minutes of the show. But, okay, it's a pilot. It's trying to get people in. Let's see what happens in the next week or whatever. But anyway, we're not here to talk about TV. We're here to talk about video games. So let's start off with a kickoff topic, and then we'll talk about our gaming weeks. This week's kickoff topic ought to invoke a lot of memories. We like walking down memory lane for our kickoff topic, and believe it or not, we're celebrating this week a gaming company that turned 125 years old. That's right. Nintendo is the company that was founded September 23rd, 1889 by Fusajiro Yamauchi. Nintendo, of course, they haven't been making game consoles since 1889, but Similar, you didn't have game consoles in the 1800s, but you did have playing cards, and that is what Nintendo started with. They made specifically Hanafuda playing cards, and I'm sure if you've read up on Nintendo, you know this, that was where their past was.
Or if you were a big Ranma fan, you know what Hanafuda is.
They also did some Disney cards when they had an agreement with Walt Disney, because Disney was also, or is also, really big in Japan. So that type of partnership does very well. Playing card sales started declining in the early 60s, and then they eventually, I did not know this about Nintendo. They had a taxi service and a love hotel chain. What? I didn't know that.
Awesome.
That is
they should
awesome.
Bring those back.
They should.
They still have love hotels in Japan.
But the Love Hotel is an IP that Nintendo needs to bring to the Wii U. That should be the name of the next console, the Nintendo Love Hotel.
Love Hotel Taxi. Playing card.
Anyway, and as we all know, obviously Nintendo eventually got into gaming technology. You know, they had the Game & Watches, and then eventually the Famicom came out, and I think y'all know what happened from there. So, yeah, there it is, 125 years of Nintendo. I thought I'd go around the room and just ask, you know, what is a favorite Nintendo memory of yours? Do you have a favorite Nintendo memory? And for me, I mean, Nintendo is really the reason I'm probably into video games as much as I am. Granted, I started on Atari 2600 and Commodore 64 after that, but Nintendo really seemed to kind of penetrate the marketplace in a way that those other two things hadn't, or at least pop culture, maybe. And that's probably, you know, thanks in big part to games like Super Mario Brothers and Zelda that were so iconic, that created characters that a little yellow box in Adventure on the 2600 just couldn't really do in the same way. So, you know, everybody at school was talking about Zelda, and it's like I had to have a Nintendo Entertainment System. And so I got good grades. My mom said she would buy me, Rob, I'm not going to buy you a Nintendo because it'll get bad grades. But Rob, if you get straight A's, I'll buy you a Nintendo. So I got straight A's, and I got a Nintendo.
You just convince her that, hey, you know, there's that Donkey Kong teaches math.
You're right.
Game, you know.
Right? Well, she kind of knew
It's
that was a line.
edutainment.
Keep in mind, I already had a 2600 at this point in a Commodore 64, so she already saw how games would ruin me. But I got good grades and got my Nintendo, and, you know, it actually, despite all the bullying that I went through when I was younger, Nintendo was kind of the one thing that sometimes kept me cool, meaning, like, even the bullies who would make fun of me in my face, when they would see me alone later, would be like, so, like, where's the 4th level in the second quest on Zelda? And, you know, of course, you want to be nice so you don't get bullied anymore. So I'd tell them and do the video game tips, and that kind of helped keep me afloat for a little while in school. So thanks, Nintendo, for making the bullying a little less severe in elementary school through deep knowledge of your games. Jamie, what's some Nintendo memories from you?
Trying to get my mom out of my room so I could play it. It's like, Mom, this is mine. Mind you, my mom had me at 17, so imagine the age gap.
Right.
My mom was a 20s, 30s-year-old gamer. She played everything. So I'd be like, Mom, I'd like to play my Nintendo now, please. Leave. Private time, Mom, private time. I want to beat this level now. And so... And cutthroat Dr. Mario.
Would you play Dr. Mario with your mom?
Not with my mom, with my little sister.
Oh, really?
Cutthroat Dr.
Cutthroat?
Mario. I was really good at that game.
Meaning the loser gets operated on.
And it just... I don't know, because it was sort of like the whole, girls don't play games. I was like, yes, we do. Shut up. So I was just... It was my thing. My friends all had one. I begged and begged and begged, and I got one. And the rest was history. I'd already had my ColecoVision, though. I liked my ColecoVision.
Loki, any Nintendo memories from you?
I just remember when I got mine. You know, my parents got it for me. Everyone else already had one. And I had a ColecoVision with like 47 games, which my dad got. And see, here's the thing. It's like, he's not really a gamer, he says. Yes, but you were the one that owned a ColecoVision system with all the possible accessories you could fucking get for this thing, and like 40-some games for it. Yeah, you weren't a gamer, right? You know, and my grandparents too. They had like an Atari 2600. I wonder if they still have that. So I don't know. Maybe they got it when he may have actually purchased that stuff when they were clearing everything out back during the crash. But anyways, they got it for me. I remember it was running the Legend of Zelda when I got it, and they had set it up in my room. And so the first 3 games I had were the Legend of Zelda, Breakthrough, and Bubble Bobble. And that was awesome.
It's funny you guys talk about like your parents being involved with the gaming because mine were so disconnected from gaming. Like my dad, even though my dad was kind of a nerd, he was always way more of a computer nerd, and I don't think he really understood video games as much. And he didn't really like they got in the way of his TV watching. So it'd be like, get off the TV so I can watch the news or whatever it is.
Well, that's the thing. It's like after you have those systems, like you kind of just. I don't know. I guess he got out of it or something.
Yeah. And then my mom, she was always, I don't know, she thought it was stupid. And the only stuff she would like to play, and remember, and I've told this about my mom on the show before, she would never touch the controller. Like, the controller was diseased to her. But she would enjoy playing things like Family Feud, Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, where she would bark at me what to do. So we would play Wheel of Fortune. She'd be like, all right, spin the wheel. And then if I landed on a bankrupt, she'd be like, you didn't spin it the right way or something, or whatever.
Let's push the button.
Yeah, exactly, right? All right, guess an E. And then, then I would guess the answer to the puzzle. She'd be like, how did you know that? You're cheating. So anyway, that was some of my memories. Looking at our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Dark Tetsuya says, I grew up on the NES around the time when it first came out. I was with my uncle at the time. I'll never forget the first time I saw him playing Super Mario Brothers. SSG 100 Matt says, my mom would sneak into my room while I was asleep in the middle of the night and play Tetris and Super Mario Brothers. My mom can still outspeedrun me in Super Mario Brothers. That's awesome. Vizaya 925 says, Nintendo made gaming popular like Apple made smartphones popular. Definitely that pop culture phenomenon, I think, in a way, that those two things kind of have in common. Dungeon Buster says, I remember someone bringing a dot matrix printout of the companies that were making games for the NES. I called up Vic Tokai's office to find out more about their games, and a guy who had probably come straight from Japan answered the phone as best as he could in English. Loco Poco says, I remember being a huge TMNT fan, and my parents got me a Super Nintendo just for Ninja Turtle Tournament Fighters for my birthday.
I have the Japanese version of that one.
And Tiger Claw says, remember the time when you had an NES, and this was way before the internet, you read through some gaming magazines looking for codes or buying a VHS tape that contained some gameplay tips and codes. One of my questions was in Nintendo Power once, years and years ago.
One of my tips was in Nintendo Power.
Was it really?
It was the how to get through Mega Man 3 with no life bar.
Oh, yeah?
Where you know how to do the double jump, the extra high jump in Mega Man 3 where you have someone hold the other controller and hold left and right at the same time? Mm-hmm. Well, if you jump down a hole while you're holding that, let go, and then hold it again, you'll die. And then you can jump back up out of the hole, and you have no life bar. You have to use special weapons the whole time. But if you touch it, a life thing, then your life will fill up and it's over. But you're basically undead Mega Man.
I remember my question was about the game Legacy of the Wizard, which I don't know if you guys have ever played this on the Nintendo Entertainment System, but it's fucking hard. That game was really hard. And it was kind of like a side-scroller adventure-y game where you played all the members of a family. Like, you could even play as their pink pet, which it made sense at the time. Just roll with it. It looked like Kirby, honestly. Like they had a pet Kirby. And that game was so hard, and I think my question was something about what order do you collect the keys? Because it was, oh my God, that game was so hard. Like, looking back on it, like, I don't think I ever beat it the right way. I think I had to use cheat codes to do it. If anybody else remembers that game, you probably know what I'm talking about. But Nintendo used to be very good at answering all of their fan mail. Like, I probably wrote Nintendo like 5 letters over the years, and every time I got back, like, it was definitely like a form letter, but the middle portion, like, somebody would write that would respond to whatever my question was. And then it would be like, in the future, consider calling our 900 number for game hotline tips.
Fuck no, this is cheaper.
Yeah, I'm like, this
I've
is
done that a
cheaper.
couple times, actually, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I asked permission.
My mom specifically said, you cannot call the 900 number. Why don't you write them a letter?
Yeah, I called the 900 number once, and that was because I bought a used copy of Star Tropics without the manual in it, so I was unable to dip the envelope in the water. And so I was like, I can't figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to do here. It says dip the envelope. I don't have an envelope in my inventory. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. And then so I had to call them up, and they're like, well, you just have to dip the envelope, in the manual, I'm like, well, I bought the game used at a flea market. I
That's
don't know
exactly
what
what
the code
they
is.
were trying to
and
prevent.
they're like, all right, the code's 767. So
I thought it was
or no, 747.
747.
That's
like
right.
a plane.
It's an airplane. Yeah,
Yeah.
747. So yeah, I had to do that. I was like, sweet, I can beat the game now.
It's like the ancient form of copy protection. How to prevent used game sales. Nintendo was on.
Well,
it.
I don't think it was to prevent used game sales. I think it was just they just thought it was a cool thing in there, and
Do you now?
Yes,
Do you now? Because I don't know. I mean,
why haven't we seen Star Tropics come back? Because that was a pretty awesome Nintendo game.
it was. And there was a Star Tropics 2.
I know,
it was
but
like
it was
the
on
next to
Nintendo.
last.
Zoda's Revenge.
Yeah, it was like the next to last game on
But
the
I'm
NES.
surprised we haven't seen wasn't that a first-party Nintendo game?
If not first, then second. It was
Because
Nintendo
that would
in-house.
be awesome to see that dude come back for Smash Brothers or something with his yo-yo type thing or something.
I'm sure he's an assist in one of the games or something. He's got to be. Maybe it was second party though. It might have been. Did HAL do it?
It may have.
But then
been.
again, they did Smash, the first ones. I don't know. Anyhow, so there you go. Nintendo turns 125 this week, and here's to 125 more if the Wii U doesn't bankrupt you. Toast. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
So, question
Trolling.
though.
What?
What was your first video game system?
My very first?
Including computers that play games.
Atari 2600. Which I think the family had bought one for my brother, and I would have been like 1 or 2.
What
But
was the
I
first
sort
one
of
you
inherited
played?
it.
What was the first one you played?
The first one I played was Atari 2600.
Okay.
Yeah. The first game was Combat, for sure. Probably Combat and Spider-Man.
I know what mine was.
What?
Magnavox Odyssey 2.
Nice.
Playing the what was it, the Legend of the Four Rings or whatever it was. Yeah. Playing that. We forgot the board game. We just played the little video game.
And what was your very, very first game you remember playing, Loki?
Me, it was definitely on the ColecoVision. I remember playing the Smurfs game a lot. Dude, my dad was totally a gamer because he bought all these stupid ass systems, like the Action Max. He bought the fucking Action Max, and I played the hell out of that. Especially they had the little trailer for the other games that are in there, which was also playable. But God, he had that too. So I don't know. I don't know what his problem is now. It's like, hey, he's I don't play any of those systems. It's too hard to control.
All right. Well, from gaming's past to gaming's present, let's talk about how was your gaming week. We always like to check in on what everybody's playing, just to sort of see what your frame of reference is, and maybe if you have any reviews on new things you've played recently. So we always check in at the top of the show with how was your gaming week? Dark Sakura, how was your gaming week?
I played Final Fantasy 14 a little, and I played some Mass Effect a little. And then I I do have a new game in the house that Dan paid $125 for.
What?
Yeah, he got Outrun 2 SP for the PS3 or PS2. Yeah, the PS2, which is supposed to be the best version of Outrun 2 you can get, as far as the sound quality and everything being complete and having all the animations from the arcade version. And it's a little dated looking, but it's still really freaking good.
Why so much? Was there just not a lot of copies made of it?
I have no idea. It's I guess maybe it was a limited run. That is an import. But he's been a happy boy. It also is supposed to be have some of the best support for the driving wheels.
Oh, is that something he puts in his little rig with
It's not he doesn't play it on his rig. He plays it with his leftovers that he built just to hook up to the TV.
Oh, gotcha.
And he's really been, it's got all kinds of unlockables for different music and everything, and you can get different cars, and it's just really crazy. And I was like, why did the later versions of this suck so much? Because for example, and this is a minor thing, but when you pick Magical Sound Shower, right, you get Magical Sound before the next thing loads, but it actually finishes saying Magical Sound Shower when you pick the name and then goes forward. It's and it's got the animations, the shuttle blasting off into space on one of the endings, whereas it's just sitting there. But yeah, Outrun 2 SP is supposed to be pretty. It's pretty worthy, and it was a really nice smooth game. And then he's got this other one that's basically it's Outrun, the original Outrun, recompiled to work on a PC, so it will run widescreen layouts and everything. And I don't remember what it was called. It's not called Outrun something, but it's something else. But Popcorn, I think. I don't remember. But anyway, Dan's been the house has been nothing but Outrun music I'll come home. Do 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 do. Every time I come home.
Well, it's good. I mean, it's good to spend that much on a game. You're going to get your money's worth out of it, right? So actually play it. So.
That, I think the cat's fascinated by watching him drive. Midna's like, the fuck are you doing?
Is Midna destined to become Toonces, the driving cat?
I don't know, but she's like, she'll like rub up under his legs while he's, using the pedals and everything. And then she'll just sit there and go, Daddy, why are you turning the thing? So she's just crazy. So yeah, that's been my...
And then one thing I noticed you didn't mention was your Hatoful Boyfriend stream on Tuesday.
Yes, I forgot.
Because I even tuned in for some of that.
Hatoful Boyfriend. I'm playing Hatoful Boyfriend on Twitch TV. I actually made a Twitch channel for OLR, for me on OLR. So it's darksakura_OLR. And I'm just playing Hatoful Boyfriend. I'm dating pigeons. This week, actually, Tuesday, I will try to be on hopefully around 5. Because I'm going to do 2 playthroughs, and I'm going to go for the Psycho Doctor ending. If you want to see what happens to our poor girl by trying to romance the doctor.
My question is, do any of them talk like the pigeons from the Animaniacs?
No.
Damn.
Although one of them is crazy and obsessed with pudding, and he apparently can't speak proper English, but everyone can understand him, or proper Japanese in the game. He just says, "Koo!" and then they translate everything. His name is Oko-san, and he's crazy. He likes pudding. I did my second date through. I dated Oko-san.
Good times. So that's been your Tuesdays, basically.
I've been dating pigeons.
All right. Awesome.
My husband's okay with it.
All right, Loki, how was your gaming week? You actually played things, not just the clicking heroes or whatever.
Yeah, not just the clicky hero thing. But no, I actually did play Road Redemption because it was something I backed on Kickstarter. It's a Unity game that it's sort of like a spiritual successor to Road Rash. The only problem is it runs like shit on my laptop, and that's no fault of the game. It's the fault that my laptop runs games like shit. So, yeah, I mean, it was fun. It's just, it kind of chugged because I didn't drop the graphics settings down too much, and I kind of blame Unity a little bit because, their descriptions for the different graphics levels are pretty vague, so it's hard to tell. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty fun game. You just... you kind of play it like Road Rash, and then they have different little events that you do and stuff. So it's pretty cool. The only thing I didn't like about it was kind of the shooting controls, because you can actually get a gun and shoot in the game, and that was a little difficult to actually manage to do that. So I don't know. But it's fun. And it's on early access if you didn't back the game, so you can check it out.
All right. See, my gaming week, a lot of similar stuff from the previous weeks. I haven't played a lot of new stuff. I will mention the one new thing I did play. I played the Final Fantasy IV, which isn't really a new game, but it is on Steam. And I think I talked about this briefly last week, that, it will be my 7th time buying it if I bought it on Steam. Well, of course, I bought it. And I actually did a live stream myself later on Monday night. It was pretty late Monday night. I did a stream of that for a little bit. And originally my whole goal was that I was going to stream a little bit every week until I beat the game. Well, you and I and everybody else know that's not going to happen. And a lot of that is probably because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and there were some things that came out in the stream. I was like, oh, God, it's totally, the sound isn't right, da-da-da. So anyway, I might end up doing that with something else later on. But Final Fantasy IV is the iOS or DS version on your PC. Probably best experienced in Steam Big Picture mode, where you can use the 360 controller and all that, which works very well with the game. Otherwise, I guess I would say it's one of those things where maybe if you're a younger listener of OLR and you've never really experienced this game, you missed the boat when the Super Nintendo version was out and you haven't really ever picked up this game. I think the story in this game is really good still and holds up very well. It might feel a little cliche to you, but just keep in mind that, Final Fantasy IV is an older game, and I think it's one of those things where I think to truly appreciate, where RPGs have been and where they are now, Final Fantasy IV is definitely worth a look. And this is a fair way to experience it. I don't think this PC port is the best version of it. I still think the PSP one was my favorite, but it's not bad.
I'm surprised they haven't remade, and maybe they have because I haven't been paying attention, but they haven't remade the Dragon Quest games in kind of the similar fashion.
It's happening on iOS because they just released. Funny you bring that up.
I know.
They just released the first one.
The misnamed one. What was it?
Oh, Dargon Quest.
Yeah.
Well, that was I think 7 that they did that, but like the original Dargon Quest just came out. Like that was a big thing. They were just hyping up like in this past week or two.
Sounds like my first RPG that I played. That is my bar. Well, aside from I don't know if you consider Zelda's more of an adventure game, but this is the first like RPG I kind of played. It was Dragon Quest.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, actually, if Dragon
Or
Quest,
Dragon Warrior, I guess over here.
Dragon Warrior over here. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that does hop over to Steam, because Square's kind of been milking the Steam thing lately, and especially with the 13 ports that are coming now. I think they realize it's extra money, so why not?
I know this isn't Square, but Microsoft or whoever I think is Microsoft is like a first party, second party game.
Mm-hmm.
Lost Odyssey, please.
Yeah, Mistwalker. So it's not Square. It's people that used to be with Square, but it's not really Microsoft either.
Oh God, I don't care who it is. Please.
Yeah.
Or a sequel, man. I would be all over that.
I know. Me too.
God, I still need to finish the first game.
I know those feels. Otherwise, I've been playing a lot of other stuff. I've actually played some more Diablo 3. Of course, I've been playing more Final Fantasy 14. More Destiny. I hit level 20 in Destiny. Destiny is such a complex game to talk about because there's so many things I really, really, really love about it. And the game is so much fun, especially when you're like able to play with other people. And even by myself, I have fun doing the little patrol missions and so forth. But then on the other hand, there's the way you level up after level 20 is 100% based on loot. And there's a stat on loot called light. And the more light your character has, the higher your level goes. So it's so stupid. I hate it. I really hate the end game in Destiny and how you level up past 20. I don't have a nice way to put it. It's really awful. And that isn't me being a stick in the mud thinking like, oh, well, because every other RPG in the past has worked this way, this one should too. I'm all for them doing something different, but like I've literally done all these like missions and strikes and bounties on the planet and so forth, and I get these drops, and I have yet to get to level 21 or even see my bar move. Like I'm not getting any gear with light on it. So it's really frustrating. Now, granted, I know there's a patch coming, and we're going to get into some of that later in the show. Some of this stuff is fixable. I mean, if they fix Diablo 3, they can fix this. But it's just as it is right now, today, that stuff kind of makes the end game in Destiny like really not fun.
Now, wasn't Destiny supposed to be a game that they're going to be carrying on for like 10 years or something like that?
Supposedly.
Can you actually see that happening? I mean, it's
actually, well, maybe not 10 years, but I could see through DLC, they're going to probably do at least squeeze another good year out of this through the 2 DLC packs they're planning on. And then, they can still drop in patches and events and so forth and support the game for a few years. I think, can the Destiny mythos or whatever last 10 years? Yeah, there'll probably be a Destiny 2 at some point or something, But this game by itself for 10 years, I don't know. That's an awful lot of DLC, and I think some of us would expect Bungie to kind of do something else, especially maybe after the lukewarm reception this game has got. But again, I go back and I point at Diablo 3. Everything that game went through, and now Diablo 3 I love playing Diablo 3. It's so much fun. I still play that to this day on PlayStation 4 and PC. So, if Diablo 3 can fix itself, Destiny can too, which is so weird that we live in this, coming off this old school Nintendo topic that we just had, you couldn't fix a game after launch like that back in the day, but now it's like, it's just part of what you expect. It's so interesting how those day one patches have really changed things tremendously.
I don't know. It just seems to me, maybe it's just my rose-colored goggles, I guess. But it seemed like a lot of those like old Nintendo games, man, they were pretty polished. I mean, granted, there's some pretty big bugs in there, like Blaster Master, all the exploits you can do by pausing the game and grenades and stuff like that. But they ended up being coming part of the game, and I don't know. I just look so fondly upon that stuff. It's like, almost everything that came out, it's like, oh, this is going to be a really great game. Well, maybe not every single game, but like, there's a lot of really great games on there. It's just, I don't know. Destiny, to me, it seems like don't call this an MMO, even though it's kind of like saying, don't say this is on rails, for Fable. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird looking game.
I like that term mingle player. I think is appropriate, but every problem that I had with Phantasy Star Online is almost exactly what is the issue with Destiny. Although at least to Phantasy Star Online's credit, there was none of this ridiculous like post-level cap junk being driven through gear like there is. I mean, the loot system in PSO is sadly better than it is in Destiny, but I feel like we have news coming up later about Destiny's doing a patch that's going to fix a lot of the problems like in the coming weeks.
I'm not interested until you can feed mags and turn them into Opa Opa.
I'm hoping you can feed your ghost or change. I mean, it seems like you can change your ghost because it's one of the options. I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen where you can actually change the ghost or if that's coming in a future expansion. Maybe that's just something they're leaving room for, but yeah.
No Opa Opa.
But you're probably no Opa Opa. Look in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Let's see. The Seg agrees with me saying light is stupid. That's right. Dungeon Buster says, grats on 20. Now the real struggle begins. Yeah, I have to beat the game. That's the other thing. I haven't beat the game yet. I still have like a bunch of missions to do on Mars. I just got to Mars and I hit level 20.
Well, you better get your ass to Mars.
That's right. I'll get my ass to Mars. Vizaya925 says, the leveling is so long. It drives me bonkers. Some of the strikes take forever. I wish we could actually talk to other people. The game feels so empty. Yeah, when I do strikes with friends, that's no problem because you can voice chat with other people. But Bungie made a conscious decision to disable voice chat in Destiny, and they're getting some shit for it. But it's very interesting to see them say that basically, and this is their reason for doing it, is that they said, we had voice chat on in Halo, and we saw what toxic things were done because of it. So we made a decision to shut it off in Destiny. And there's a part of me that kind of goes, well, that's kind of rad, actually, because people are real dicks online sometimes.
That makes sense.
And I'm glad I can't hear them.
That makes sense in a deathmatch type situation where, okay, you might want to shut it off. But this is more like an MMO where it's more co-op.
Yeah. Some things
you don't really need voice chat in a deathmatch. You probably need voice chat in like a co-op type situation. I mean, team deathmatch, I guess you can be doing some strategies.
And people still find ways to troll people even with no voice chat. Like, I was walking around doing Earth missions and I was doing some stuff. Some guy just walked by me and punched me in the face. Like, because that's something you can do in Destiny. You hit the trigger and it throws a punch. So some guy just walked by me and punched me in the face. Is that what we do to people now? Is that how we say hello? Hey, Loki, let me come over and say hello to you. How you doing, buddy? And I play a woman character. Didn't your parents ever teach you not to hit a girl? Anyway.
Because we fucking hit back.
Well, I did try to hit this guy back, actually, but then he ran away. So I shot him. But that doesn't do any damage. You can't actually
shoot
Grand
other
Theft
players.
Auto
way.
Yeah. Well, but you can throw a grenade, and grenades do damage. So I did contemplate that.
Also,
but I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to move on. I did. All right. They have been talking about, though, that they're going to do like an opt-in voice chat thing where when you play online, you can opt into voice chat. So
I don't know. You've got these clans and stuff that you've made up.
The clan support is terrible in Destiny, and that's another thing they need to fix. Like, we have a VOG clan, and it's awesome, and I encourage you to join. The only problem with said VOG clan is that there's nothing in-game that shows me who's in the clan and if you're online or not. Because I'd love to run strikes with all of you, but not all of you are on my friends list. So, like, why isn't the clan list in the game right next to your friends list? I mean, I think even Halo did that. So that seems like a really weird decision, but whatever. Whatever. All right. Anyhow, let's see. Dungeon Buster says, yeah, my Femme Hunter was trolled, but I jumped into orbit, and that was that. Vizaya says, I love the teabagging in PvP. Or maybe they should limit the speaking to a few seconds so that the crap talk is kept at a minimum. Oh, that would be kind of awesome that, like, the more you prove yourself, the longer you're allowed to talk. That's kind of awesome. All right. That's enough about Destiny for now because I have a story coming up on it later. We'll get into it then.
If you talk, you put down your weapon or something like that.
Right?
You so while you're talking, you can't shoot.
Oh, that'd be neat. We'll see. All right. Anyhow, let's move on. I think that's pretty much it for my gaming week. So I did play a couple other little things. Like I did like Crypt of the Necrodancer one night, and I was playing 8-Bit Boy on Steam the other night too. But I'll talk, I guess, more about those games at length at a later date. So let's get into our news right after some housekeeping. We are on Facebook, of course, facebook.com/orangeloungeradio, and twitter.com/OLR, and Google+, google.com/+orangeloungeradio. We're also on YouTube at username orangeloungeradio, and you should subscribe and check out our episodes when they're released on YouTube, because that's a great archive to go back and visit past episodes. It's building up there on YouTube, and YouTube's on everything. You could watch OLR on your TV, although you're really just listening to it because it's a radio show. It's Orange Lounge Radio, not Orange Lounge Television. But let's see. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we will not be here live on October 19th. So if you are a live listener, you'll want to go ahead and I don't know if Bobby's here that week, so he'll let you guys all know about that. But we will not be here live on October 19th because I will be at Final Fantasy Fan Fest in Las Vegas, and so I won't be here.
We will be replaced by Banjo playing chimpanzees.
We're trying to tape in advance that week, so at least there'll be something new for you guys to listen to, because I know we just missed a show over Labor Day weekend, so we don't like to miss shows a lot, because we want to keep you guys in the habit of having something to listen to on Monday. So we're going to try to tape something prior that week, but just so you live folks know, we won't be here live for sure that night, October 19th. All right, let's get into some news. Loki's going to start us off with some news tonight.
So it was announced that Blizzard has canceled Titan, and the problem is not a lot of people know what Titan was. And we kind of thought it was their next MMO, and I guess that's sort of what it was. It was basically the most ambitious game that they had possibly imagined, and the only problem was that it wasn't fun. So you can have all that ambition, but if it's not fun, then what's the point? So they still didn't reveal any details regarding it other than that, it just wasn't working out, so they decided to cancel it. So, I don't know. I guess that means that, I was kind of hoping that was going to be like a follow-up to World of Warcraft, but I guess it just means there's going to be more World of Warcraft. Why bother, putting out a new game?
That would be nice, because there hasn't really been World of Warcraft for about a year now because of content patches. They've been running that same raid for a year. So,
I don't know. Maybe they're just worried that if they put out another MMO, that it would kind of split their user base, and they want more people on World of Warcraft. I don't know.
Well, there's been a lot of chatter that this game Titan, I don't know if you saw some of the details about what the game was, but a lot of people have been saying that Titan had a lot in common with Destiny. And that is why possibly they pulled the plug. And I got into this a little more on Horde House, and I don't want to repeat myself because my other show, Horde House on Wednesday, we talked about this a little bit. But in a nutshell, why would Activision fund two games that were the same thing? Not just, because they're both Activision games. Activision is publishing the Bungie Destiny, and Activision would have published Blizzard's Titan or whatever. So Activision was not going to let two games of the exact same thing. And I realize Activision might be hands-off or whatever, but look, like once a year, these games at least are checking in. So I think there must have been enough with Titan that differentiated it from Destiny. It almost sounds to me like there was probably a Sims type of element to this too, and maybe even some elements that I would have wanted to see in a Mass Effect MMO. Maybe that's really wishful thinking, but maybe it was too disjointed, and that's why it didn't work.
It might have just been a really good, they had a bunch of stuff that they wanted to implement in there. Like I think there was one where you could be like a shop vendor or something like that, and you didn't even have to fight. You could have just sold stuff and that kind of stuff, and all that stuff was cool and worked. But it's kind of like, well, is it fun? Is it going to be fun doing this? Probably not. I don't know. It just
still has an awful long time to be developing a game just to come up, with nothing. But Blizzard does this a lot. There was Warcraft Adventures, that was the point and click game with the orcs, right? And then there was StarCraft Ghost, which was the action-y thing that was supposed to be on what was that, a
PlayStation
Dreamcast game?
2?
Yeah, PlayStation 2 or one of those. And that never ended up happening either. So Blizzard does this a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, if it wasn't fun, I mean, who cares if it was being worked on for a while? I mean, some games that are worked on for a while that do eventually come out end up sucking. Duke Nukem Forever, for example. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing. So we'll just have to imagine what it was and wait for the eventual art portfolio leak from somebody looking for a job or something like that showed like some concept art or something.
Tiger Claw in chat says the reason why Blizzard shut down Titan is because they want to have the burden, or imagine that as they don't want to have the burden of managing two MMOs at the same time. They spend a lot of time maintaining WoW. It would be difficult for them to balance two MMOs. You know, another way I kind of look into that comment is that maybe Blizzard has set their own bar too high, and the realization was that this game was not going to get that same amount of buy-in that WoW has, and so it would have been written off as a failure. You know what I mean? Because like no MMO has even come close to touching WoW in America, in North America, and probably Europe too. I know in Asia it's a different story.
I'm glad that they've stopped advertising different MMOs as a WoW killer now. Everyone's kind of gotten to the point where it's like,
WoW's dipping though, and I think WoW is peaked. I don't see WoW getting back to the subscriber numbers it had during Wrath of the Lich King. I mean, in all honesty, I've been fortunate enough to play the Draenor Alpha and Beta, and as much as I'm thankful for the opportunity to check that stuff out, I'm going to tell you, it's not good enough for me to buy the expansion. I don't care. Like it's just it wasn't enough. Like it really just felt so boring to me. Sorry, but that's kind of like where I'm at with Warcraft now. You know, great community, but the game just, But at the same time, here I am. I can't stop fucking playing Diablo 3. So you can't say that Blizzard isn't doing something right, and Blizzard is doing a good job at having something for everyone right now. I mean, there's a lot of people playing Hearthstone. Hearthstone's up to 20 million people have checked that out. Heroes of the Storm appears to be doing very well for them. Maybe Blizzard thought that Titan didn't fit in there somewhere, that Titan wasn't going to bring in those new people that these other games have brought into the fold somehow. I don't know. Dungeon Buster in chat says, Blizzard has always been really picky about its properties. Look how long Diablo 3 took to finally get out. And that comment over at live.vognetwork.com. Brad from Pod Culture says, Sky, what if it were to go free to play? I would probably check it out a little bit if it went free to play, but I just don't see that happening. They don't have to go free to play right now. I mean, it's very hard to be a premium MMO. There's so few premium MMOs right now. So few. You could probably count them on one hand. Final Fantasy 14 and 11, WoW, WildStar, Elder Scrolls.
And WildStar was crap.
And I haven't really played WildStar. I've watched somebody else play it, and I was really impressed by the whole housing thing and just how deep that is. But I'm not impressed at some of the end game stuff I'm hearing about that and the awful, horrible grind that they basically made a game for people that missed vanilla WoW who didn't realize how awful vanilla WoW really was. That's the impression I'm getting.
How many times did I quit vanilla WoW?
Yeah, I know, right? Again, I haven't played WildStar myself. I've only watched other people play it. So
there's also Ragnarok Online too, right?
Which is free.
That's free.
Free.
Yeah. So I can't think of a lot of
other Square.
MMOs.
Come on, Square Enix. Final Fantasy 11 free to play.
I know.
Come on.
They still support that really well, but people are flocking to free MMOs too. Like I know my Twitter feed has been lit up with a ton of people checking out Archage and complaining about server issues over there because the game's so damn popular right now. People are having a hard time getting in. That's a big one that just launched.
I might be going back to Star Trek Online.
Yeah, Star Trek Online, obviously.
That was really fun.
Yeah, a big one too, and they've got a big expansion coming out. So, there's a lot to be excited about in the free-to-play market as well. Anyhow, let's move on. More news. Hey, I promised you some stuff on Destiny. And let's talk about what is going to happen with patch 1.0.2, which is coming this week. And one of the big changes they're going to make with Destiny 1.0.2 is Cryptarch changes. Thank God the Cryptarch will finally learn how to decrypt things at the level they're supposed to be at. Meaning legendary engrams will always be legendary or better items. Rare engrams will always be rare or better. Thank God. And rare engrams will also have an increased chance to produce legendary quality items. So no more of this bullshit where you get a rare engram and it decodes into a green. Fuck that shit. Some of the activity changes will change, and rare and legendary engrams will be added as rewards. So that will be something you can do to sort of motivate people to do those more. And some other item changes. Ascendant materials have been promoted to legendary status, and legendary engram items that already exist in your inventory will be demoted when the patch goes live. So that's very interesting. So if you are holding on to legendary engrams, they will be demoted. And Bungie makes a very tongue-in-cheek joke in their patch notes that says, let's be honest, even if you don't, we all know they were blues already. Like, Bungie's making fun of themselves. It's so strange. So anyway. Also, on the Destiny front, since a lot of you guys are playing it, we should mention this. There was some little previews given of the Destiny expansion. Not intentionally. I guess some leaks were found in Destiny through a bug because this game is connected and downloads patch data. Some of the information about the next patch has kind of leaked into the game. So it looks like there will be a new raid called Crota's End. It's a level 28 raid that will be on the moon. And you can see more about this over on YouTube. Some folks have decoded some of the stuff in the game. Looks like to get into the story a little bit, I'm trying to say this in a non-spoilery way. Something that you work very hard to destroy, in the expansion they will try to rebuild. It's probably the easiest way I can put it. Very generic plot. But we already know Destiny had one of those anyway, so there you go. House of Wolves content being found in the game too, but like literally there's placeholder text that says moon_portal_1. So there's not a lot to be known about that yet, but that's interesting to know that the expansion's probably coming early next year with this extra raid and extra stuff. And I really hope it'll do something to make the end game a little more exciting in regards to gearing up and all that. So, and the Sag in chat says, make sure to process your engrams before Tuesday early morning. And Rob, you're not spoiling much of the story in this game. There's not much to spoil. Exactly. I know. I'm just trying to prevent that email. I was waiting to buy Destiny till I got a PS4 and you went and ruined everything about the story. And I'm like, just like put every generic sci-fi story you've ever heard right next to each other, and that's like what Destiny is. Spoiler alert. So just saying, like, don't play Destiny for the story. Just don't. Moving on, Dark Sakura.
Well, how about something that has nothing to do with Destiny? Basically, and there's been a lot of, I would say, some anger, some resentment about the new 3DS. But they have release dates for them in Australia and New Zealand. It's going to be out November 21st this year. And looks like there's going to be, of course, Super Smash Brothers will be out. The price is going to be, and this is Australian dollars, $219.95 for the regular sized one, and the XL will be $249.95. So, I don't know. I still think having the system is kind of... I understand they're not wanting to limit the games by technology, but even so, they're really expecting a lot of people to put out the money to buy that. I'm not sure.
I'm hopeful that because they have dates for New Zealand and Australia that happen to take place this year, that hopefully we'll see release dates for North America as well soon, because... that'd be awesome. Man, maybe, hey, perfect timing would be around the time that Pokemon, Ruby and Sapphire come out on 3DS.
I don't know. I'm expecting it to be sometime around the same time over here, but I haven't been too excited about the news myself. Are you getting one?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Just because I already had a 3DS and didn't really play anything on it. But we'll see. I mean, if they have some really good games out for it, maybe the next Zelda game or something.
I don't want to have
I'd
to
be
redo
down.
my puzzles.
So, yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
I just maxed out all my puzzles. I don't want to do them.
Well, I think you can transfer your data over to your new system, and
I
maybe
hope.
that puzzle data will go over as well. I don't know. So this is kind of disappointing, but apparently PlayStation Home is shutting down. Both in U.S. and Europe, that's coming out, I guess, ending March 31st, 2015. Of course, it's already kind of closed, I think it's closing sooner, actually, in Japan. But apparently, they're going to stop making new content for it on the 12th of November. And I guess in Europe, you'll be able to download your content or download content, I guess, until the 3rd of December. And as a thank you for supporting the platform, they're going to have some free stuff that they're going to be releasing prior to its close. And I'm sure they're going to be doing a lot more stuff with that. Now, I'm hoping, though, that there's ways to get some of those free PlayStation 1 games on there, because I remember they used to have several ways to get, was it like Warhawk and Twisted Metal, and I'm not really sure what the other one was. They had some other free game that was on there, too, but I wanted Twisted Metal.
I don't know how to feel about this whole PlayStation Home thing shutting down because, well, I mean, it's inevitable, right? Like, we knew it was going to shut down because we heard before it was going to happen in Asia, right? And so, I think we even said then, well, mark your calendars, is going to happen in the U.S. too.
Yeah.
Right? And so now we have the official word. And I don't know how to feel about it, because I feel like there was so much potential with PlayStation Home. And I know it had a great community behind it because VOG, we've actually participated in some of these events in the past, and there was some good people that were, playing it and participating. But there was some things about it that just really bugged me that I think always kind of doomed it from the start. And the fact that it wouldn't load things in the background was one of the huge things for me. Like, when you would zone into a new area, like, you would have to wait 10 minutes for everything to download.
An
it's
update.
like, yeah, exactly, an update. Now, I feel like that's why I'm kind of surprised in a way that it's not graduating to PlayStation 4, because I would think PlayStation 4 seems to be a little more in tune with downloading things in the background. It's got a way bigger hard drive built in, so I would think maybe more of that could happen.
Rebuild it for PlayStation 4 or something.
But that's not going to happen because we've heard that folks are going to be out of a position because of this. So clearly, when they're closing PlayStation Home, they are closing PlayStation Home. It is not going to continue, which... I mean, on one hand, it's like, well, if you loved PlayStation Home so much, maybe you should have fucking been using it. But on the other hand, it's like, well...
It was kind of a drag to use it.
On paper, there was so much to really like about PlayStation Home. Like, and I loved the idea about, like, oh, when you unlock trophies, you could have a virtual trophy cabinet and, and show these things off. But
that never happened.
It didn't really. I mean, you had some things, like you could achieve things in games that would unlock, like, a shirt. Like, I seem to remember, like, in the Namco Museum game on PlayStation 3 that we have a cameo in, right? You actually play that and you unlock, like, a Pac-Man shirt or something that you can use in Home. And, like, depending on some of the achievements you do get those sorts of tangible items. So that, in that sense, it's kind of cool. But I mean, I don't know. Like, again, it would take like 10 minutes to get into Home. And then the clubhouses were limited to what, 25 people?
It's okay.
And I couldn't really do anything with it.
They're going to raise the clubhouse, limit on March 30th.
So, looking at a chat over at live.vognetwork.com, Seg says, the Seg says, so many feels and conflicts. Buddy of mine is getting laid off as he works for that department, which at least he has an end date and a plan, so he should be better off to make his plan. And it goes on to say, I wish that trophy cabinet thing happened, but I don't think any developer was willing/able to make a full 3D model for a trophy.
Take 3D model from said game, put trophy base on it,
or
done.
Or maybe some really easy, like maybe some generic trophy bases that were already done, where maybe they could have taken their achievement art from the Xbox 360, right? Because all those achievements on 360 have art. So, and then you could just slap it on a trophy. I don't know. Like an easy convert thing would have been cool.
It wouldn't have been that hard, and you don't have to support it. You just, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer to see that they're not going to try to push PlayStation Home a little more. I mean, I get it. it just wasn't probably making the money and attracting the developers. And like Seg said in his comment there, people didn't really want to spend money. Artists are expensive. They didn't want to spend money to create all these new 3D models and things for home. It probably just wasn't a good return on investment or whatever. So, I mean, from that standpoint, it makes sense. But it's just kind of, I don't know, you always kind of feel like maybe, and this might sound like a really weird thing to say, but maybe home was ahead of its time in a way. I don't know. Maybe home was too much like Second Life. I don't think it was, though. I think Second Life was really different. I do, because home was really more of a celebration of video games, and Second Life isn't really about that. But anyway.
Second Life is for furries.
Well, some would argue that home turned out into that type of thing as well. So, I mean, but...
Everything is for furries. What are we talking about?
We talk about on this show all the time to penis, right? TTP, time to penis. You put an internet chat room out there, somebody's going to make a chat room dedicated to cocks. So when you do this type of thing on PlayStation or whatever, PlayStation chat room, there are going to be chat rooms dedicated to all sorts of things that you can imagine. And, furry, when you sell these suits and things is one of them. But furry things don't have to necessarily be a negative either. I mean,
was teasing.
I know
There's
people.
nothing wrong with furries.
I know people who are into that, and I don't care what you do as long as you're safe and consensual.
Furries are awesome. I'm just saying that that's been the biggest thing that I've seen is a very, very big furry community.
Yeah. Bobby Blackwolf popping in saying Second Life and Home are not comparable. Second Life was all about people building and creating their own experiences. Home was about people taking in Sony's experiences. And maybe that a little bit was a part of the problem as well, is that I was expecting to be able to build a little more of an experience when I got a Clubhouse and all that stuff. And, I did see some impressive stuff that was done later on down the line. But, I mean, it's still like, how awesome would it have been if we had like a special OLR thing, like a little mini video or something that you could only see in our Clubhouse, that you could like go into the Clubhouse, or like if I happen to be playing PlayStation as well, and I'm there in home, I could actually talk to you instead of like typing. I could be sitting at the back of the room and actually talking and doing like a podcast in PlayStation Home. But maybe now that Twitch is a thing and we have PlayStation Live and all that, that's kind of trumped anything that maybe home would have done. I don't know. So, anyhow. All right. Well, there it is. PlayStation Home going to be closing. Let's move on to talk about Bayonetta 2, which, as you know, is going to be coming out here in the U.S. very soon. Well, Bayonetta 2 actually came out in Japan. And Bayonetta 2 sales numbers in Japan, honestly, there's no way to spin this. It's not probably as good as it should be. Bayonetta 2 sold 67% of their first shipment in Japan. I guess from that perspective, that's not terrible. But here's the thing. Bayonetta 2 sold 38,828 copies. The original Bayonetta in 2009 on the 360 and the PlayStation 3 sold 200,000 copies in the same time. So that's like what? Maybe 18, 19% of what the first Bayonetta sold. Now, granted, we have to take into consideration there's just not as many Wii U's in Japan out there as there were PlayStation 3s combined with Xbox 360. I mean, there weren't a lot of 360s either, but combined with Xbox 360s back then. But still, I mean, when you kind of see this, that, Bayonetta 2 sold not even 40,000 copies in Japan on launch week, it's pretty hard to spin that number positively. I mean, Loki, what do you think when you hear that number?
I think that it's just there's not a lot of systems out there, and it's not surprising, I guess. And sadly, I mean, it's kind of along the lines of Platinum Games, and even with the Wii. Remember, Mad World looked like such an awesome game and really hyped up, and people were excited about it, and it didn't sell very well. And same with Bayonetta. Unfortunately, yeah, there are a lot of people that are fans of Nintendo that own a Wii U, but the Wii U is kind of also directed towards more of like families and kids, and unfortunately, those aren't the people that are going to be purchasing Bayonetta 2.
Am I hearing in a way that maybe Nintendo ought to just embrace its status as a family-friendly game maker. Because, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that say Nintendo needs to do more hardcore shit. Nintendo needs to do stuff that caters to the hardcore gamer. Well, here they go. They're doing Bayonetta 2, and then it does this.
No, that's the thing is, yeah, they do need to dedicate themselves a little bit more towards hardcore stuff. But the problem was, you're forgetting that the hardcore games back when the NES was out and stuff were like Super Mario Brothers and The Legend of Zelda. It was their mainstream games that were also, bringing in new people to play them. You just need to make games that kind of bring in both. I think, for example, the Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, whatever that's coming out. I think that kind of it's more of like an easy, slower paced game for everybody else. Maybe we're just getting too lazy in our gameplay, and that they're afraid that too hard, gameplay that's too hard is going to drive off people from playing those games. And on the other hand, I think it's good to have gameplay that's hard because it makes you a better gamer.
Makuma JP in chat says, "What do you expect? It was on the Wii U." Maybe that's it in a nutshell. I don't know. Something we didn't really talk about at the top of the show, and this game did come out this week, was Hyrule Warriors. And I only didn't talk about it because none of us have bought it yet. I think I'm the only Wii U owner in the room, and I just didn't get around to buying it this weekend. I'm kind of waiting to see a little more like what the reactions are to the game from my friends before I decide if I want to plunk $60 on it, which is a lot of money, right? But I did see the pictures out in New York City where people were lined up around the block at that Nintendo World Store for that limited edition thing that not everybody didn't even get because Nintendo wasn't anticipating demand being as high as it was, and a bunch of resellers got their hands on those little limited edition figurines for Hyrule Warriors or whatever it was they were giving away in New York City. So maybe Bayonetta 2 stands to do a little better here in the U.S., potentially. I mean, we'll find out in a couple weeks. We do know a few things about Bayonetta 2 in advance of the U.S. release here. As if it's any surprise, it has been rated mature by the ESRB due to blood, gore, intense violence, partial nudity, strong language, and suggestive themes. And there's also an online component, which you could be exposed to unrated user-generated content. Here's the official summary. This is an action game in which players assume the role of an ancient witch that battles angels and demons in a fantasy world. Players use hand-to-hand combat, pistols, giant scythes, axes, and magic to kill enemy creatures.
Guillotines.
Players can also perform various finishing moves, which depict exaggerated and intense acts of violence. Enemies thrown into spinning spiked wheels, characters decapitated by a guillotine, a dragon ripping characters apart, large blood-splattered effects and gore can be seen frequently. During the course of the game, some female characters perform suggestive taunts and poses, for example, opening their legs, dancing on poles. Outfits are occasionally shed during battle, with characters' breasts and buttocks partially exposed. The words fuck and shit appear in the dialogue.
Sign me up.
This game sounds awesome.
That should be like a searchable tag in eShop. The words fuck and shit appear in dialogue.
That just print that on the back of the box. I mean, come on. Characters decapitated by a guillotine and a dragon rips characters apart. Awesome. One other awesome thing that should be mentioned about Bayonetta 2, as the game is out in Japan, people are tearing this apart on YouTube. And get this. There is a Star Fox Easter egg hidden in Bayonetta 2. And apparently it goes so far as to like you're actually playing something that feels like Star Fox within the game. And that is all within Bayonetta 2.
At least they didn't have an F-Zero Easter egg in the game.
I would have just pissed. Well, they're saving that for Mario Kart just to piss me off. That means they probably won't do another one. But there you go. Bayonetta 2, all the latest on that. Now, what's funny is that even though I'm kind of like on the fence about Hyrule Warriors, I'm definitely getting Bayonetta 2, if for no other reason than what I just read. I want the original on Wii U, too.
Speaking of games that they're not going to make sequel to, Excite Truck, they should totally have...
What about Excite... They did have that sequel.
Excite Bots,
Excite
Trick
Bots.
Racing. Yeah, that was crap. No, it's a game you make a sandwich in the race. You throw a pie at a clown or you knock a star. It didn't make any sense. But it would be awesome to have like the Excite Truck or Excite Bots as an assist in Smash Brothers. But, Nintendo's not going to actually put their own properties like that in there. such an awesome racing game.
All right, let's move on. We got one more story here, and then we're going to do release dates. Dark Sakura.
How would you ever like to game in your own arena? Or at least have a dedicated arena? The U.S. is finally getting one.
I have an arena in my living room, and I don't have to wear pants there.
I don't want to know about your pants off, dance off.
It's more of a peen arena.
I even have a little referee, a little furry referee that meows at me when I...
She just looks at you like you're a weirdo and then runs when people come over. And hides under the bed the whole time. She's such a crazy old lady. Anyway, so now we get an esports stadium. Yay!
Do.
Okay.
Are you ready to rumble?
MLG is putting it out. It's going to be called the MLG.TV Arena, which will be 15 minutes away from Ohio State University. Why they're putting it in Ohio, I don't know. Anyway, since Columbus, they said has actually hosted some of their most successful events, they said that's where it'll be.
Wasn't that also the school that did the scholarship program? I think we talked about this a few weeks ago on the show. That might have been the same school. That could be why. Ohio might be some type of like hotbed for this stuff that we just don't see here in California.
What else do they have to do in Ohio? I know we have listeners there, so tell us what there is to do in Ohio.
Be sad.
That's Alabama.
I'm kidding. Oh my
That's
God.
be sad and go to New Orleans. You leave the state.
So that's cool that they're putting in a little arena there, but an arena aren't they going to use the arena for like Lady Gaga concerts too? Like it would just seem like if it's only for gaming events, it seems like such a waste of space. You know what I mean?
By the way, Fifth Dream says pantsless dojo.
That's the name of my living room.
For the record, I'm not wearing pants. I'm wearing shorts. Those guys are wearing pants.
Let's see. The SEG says, "Woo, tax breaks." Maybe that's part of it there. Let's see. What Up G says the Ohio State Marching Band. Oh, that would be some marching bands. That's something to do in Ohio. And Brad from Pod Culture says, Dark Sakura, Christina is from Cleveland.
That's okay.
Well, yes, but as I understand it, she moved.
No.
I'm just kidding. God, I don't want angry emails coming from Ohio.
No,
we make fun of all states of the union.
I make fun of all the states, especially the ones I'm from. Alabama really gets a ration of shit from me.
We could spend a whole 3 hours talking about what irritates us about California, but
people,
that traffic. That'll be another day. All right, let's travel around the world and check out some release dates and things that will be coming out in every state across the nation, and then we'll even travel to some other countries. Loki.
All right, this week we've got a few things coming out, including Natural Doctrine, which is on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and the Vita. Crimes and Punishment Sherlock Holmes on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. We've also got Forza Horizon 2 on Xbox One and Xbox 360. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Falling Skies the Game on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Senran Kagura Shinobi Versus Limited Edition. The Let's Get Physical, or it's actually not limited, it's the Let's Get Physical Edition, and that's on Vita. Game on the 3DS called Super Smash Brothers. I'm sure no one's interested in. And then coming out...
I just love the way you phrase that.
And then since we had, last week, Disney Infinity 2.0, now we're going to have Skylanders, I guess if you want to call it 4.0 or whatever, Skylanders Trap Team. They've got that coming out on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, the Wii, the Wii U, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, 3DS, and even if you want to, a tablet version for Android and iOS, and that includes even a little Bluetooth controller, which is kind of cool. And they have also got that regular and dark editions if you want to do the limited edition for that. That's it.
All right. We're going to travel over to Japan and check out the release dates there, but I'm looking at chat, and we're getting read the Riot Act on Ohio right now in chat.
And guess who doesn't really care?
Let's see. Kick-ass amusement parks in Ohio, especially Cedar Point, says, what up, G?
I have heard about that.
And Brad from Pod Culture says, got to interview the 8th Doctor in Ohio.
I love how people get massive, like, butthurt wedgies when someone makes a joke about something. You go in the bathroom and dig out your panties.
Let's find another state to pick on. Where do we know? I'm gonna go look.
Delaware.
Oh, we're in Delaware.
I'm gonna go look at the map. Look, I want to think of a place I've been that I have a beef with. Where's a place that I've been that I have a beef with? You know what? I have a little bit of a beef with Wyoming. I have a little bit of a beef with Wyoming.
Dan's grandmother's from Wyoming.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't care.
sorry.
I've never been there.
Anyway, moving on. Going to
How about Stockton?
How about yeah?
That's not a state.
I can think of a ton of places in California that are way worse than any of these states that we're talking about. Stockton's near the top of the list, honestly. Or like fucking, can we talk for a minute about Bakersfield? Oh my God.
The biggest source of boring ever.
Anyway. Sorry to, I think we actually have a listener in Bakersfield. Sorry, but you know.
You know.
All
The
right.
only thing that I would ever go to Bakersfield for was because they had a Sonic, and then we got Sonic. So that was good.
Yeah, the only reason to go to Modesto is that's the only Dunkin' Donuts now in all of Northern California.
We went to the Madera County Fair on purpose once
All right. And
to see Weird Al.
Tiger Claw in chat says, what about Sacramento? Hey, fuck you.
You know what?
Sacramento's awesome.
I'm kind. You know what? I'm kind of with you, a little bit. Sacramento's kind of just like, eh.
You know what, though, is near Fresno?
You know what, Tiger Claw? Don't fucking get me started on Florida. Do not get me started on your home state of Florida. Do not.
But
Because, like, we could talk about Florida more than the other 49 states combined. Anyway. Yes, Dark Sakura?
nothing. I'm
Florida
done.
man and Florida woman.
I'm done.
All right, let's talk about Japan. Japan has a game coming out on the PlayStation 4 that might be of interest to Dark Sakura. Are you a fan of Quintet, Dark Sakura?
Quintet?
Yeah, I thought you...
Quartet.
Oh, I thought it was Quintet. But I guess...
Quartet's an action-adventure game, not a dating sim with dancing girls.
yeah, this dancing girl game is not really something that would be up your alley. I don't know. Well, it looks like at one point they're like fighting a tentacle monster, so...
What, with the power of dance?
Yeah. Or something. Anyway, the game is actually called Omega Quintet. And
it says
comes
that
out...
Quartet's by Sega.
All right, there you go. So they're different. I got them mixed up. Oh, well. Yeah, mixing elements of the idol simulation and JRPGs into a brand new IP. Takuto manages to protect the Verse Maidens, 5 pop idols who have the ability to defeat the invading Beep. That's what it's called, the Beep, with the power of their song and dance. This game sounds awesome. I wish the PlayStation 4 wasn't region locked. I hope there's some streams.
Isn't that on...
PlayStation.
Oh.
This is on PlayStation 4, believe it or not. Let's see. Looking at some other games coming out in Japan. Is that coming out on the Xbox One? Looking at Xbox One releases. No, but Forza Horizon 2 gets its release in Japan this week. So look forward to that. On the PlayStation 3 on October 2nd, Kingdom Hearts 2.5 Remix gets its release in Japan. I did not realize that was this soon in Japan. And there's also a 1.5 and 2.5 starter pack coming out. And you can import that here in the US for $150.
Is that the 4.0 pack?
Right? That's what it adds up to, right? So it must be the case. Let's see. On the Wii U, nothing to report this week on the Wii U. Or unless I read the list wrong. No, I did not read it wrong. There's nothing on the Wii U this week. On the PlayStation Vita this week, Neketsu Ino Bukatsu Tan Trigger Kiss comes out this week on the Vita. And lastly, on the Nintendo 3DS this week,
Hot-blooded something.
let's see, there is Kinke no Maguna and Nazo Toki Battle Tore Densetsu no Makyu wo Fukatsu Saseo comes out. I don't. You want me to look up what that? It's an Namco Bandai game. It looks like Explore the Pyramids. It looks like some type of like Temple Run game on the 3DS sort of thing, but maybe less Temple Run and more like puzzle mini game. Egyptian tomb. That's what it is. All right, let's travel over to the UK, Dark Sakura.
On the 30th, Chariot on PS4 and Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor on PC, and October 1st, Chariot on Xbox One. And I think that's it.
All right. Let's see. Moving on. Just a couple more stories for you guys, and then the classic game of the week. I'm looking at the states of the union argument going on in our chat right now. Oh my gosh.
What about Alaska?
I'm about to leave chat.
What? PlayStation 4 is region free, is it? I thought it was region locked.
No.
I thought that was a big change in the new generation, is that they were region locked. I know the PS3 wasn't.
PS4 and Xbox One are not region locked.
Holy shit, I might have to... well, I don't really understand Japanese, though. I'm going to have a hard time playing that game, probably.
Which game?
The Quintet.
Oh.
RPG. It's going to, totally be in Japanese. You guys hear how horrible I am at speaking it. I don't understand it at all. All right. Anyhow, let's go to those two more stories here. Loki.
Well, unlike this should be something that people are getting used to on the Wii U, unfortunately. Ubisoft has confirmed that the Bad Blood downloadable content for Watch Dogs will not be coming to the soon-to-be-released Wii U version of the game. And no, the Wii U version does not have DLC, they confirmed, and they haven't really said why. But they've done that in the past, I thought, with Assassin's Creed, where they didn't have... DLC for that, maybe, or was it Batman? One of those didn't have DLC, even though Batman's not technically a Ubisoft game, but it's kind of weird. I guess they just don't want to port it over. Maybe they think that they're not going to make their money back or something, or maybe, I don't know. But yeah, their lackluster support for the Wii U now, and even more, less support for any sort of download content for said games.
Why are they even bothering to release this game on the Wii U?
I think because I think this is one of those games that was done already, and they're just waiting to release it, which is stupid. I don't understand why.
I mean, it's going to be an embarrassment, and then people are going to point at it and go, well, this is why we don't release games on the Wii U, because this is how they sell. Yeah, because you totally treated it like the bastard kid of the family. It's just, it's gross what they're doing with this.
They did that with Rayman Legends last year.
Uh-huh. And it's, why bother? Or do a digital-only release or something. Save yourself the fucking trouble.
I think this is literally the last game that they have slated for the Wii U right now.
Just Dance, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, Just Dance will be coming out because they make their money on the Wii U and Wii for that. But that's pretty much it. Well, it's still, though, this comes out after Just Dance 2015 or whatever it's called this year. So it is technically the last Wii U game that they have slated right now. Maybe they're going to go that way where they're just going to, they supported them all this time, but now they're just going to cut support for the Wii U.
Well,
which is
I'm
sad.
just saying it's kind of their own damn fault.
Yeah.
When you set games up to fail, surprise, they're going to fail.
Why even bother at this point? I mean, it's coming out so far after, the launch of the, Watchdog game on the other systems, so I don't understand what's the point putting it out?
I mean, as much as I want to see Nintendo succeed, and I want to see, Nintendo's got a lot of their own stuff that's gonna, keep the Wii U afloat for a couple of years. So whatever. I kind of just hope this game doesn't sell a single copy.
That's not gonna happen, but yeah, it won't sell a lot of copies. Maybe a few thousand. I think though, that just kind of cements support that these games aren't going to do that well, but at the same time though, Ubisoft is kind of going this route where they're doing these really huge games aside from like the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry franchises and stuff, but they've got a few MMO like games coming out already. They've got the Division, and they've also got The Crew coming out, and both of those are going to be these really vast multiplayer games, of which they're not even going to try to port that stuff over. I don't know. Maybe they're just too ambitious in what they want to do on console, I guess. But indies will save the day, I guess, because
Nintendo's going to save their own stuff with first-party stuff. When the new Zelda next year comes out, it's going to, they've got enough stuff to keep themselves afloat, I think, but they're really probably going to be thinking on the drawing board how to get the third parties back with whatever they do next.
And also, let's just say that hypothetically speaking, retail VR takes off. Once again, they're going to be behind the game. Well, technically they were ahead of the game, but that wasn't much of an attempt. So, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do to... I mean, Zelda will help, but let's just say Zelda doesn't help enough. Then what?
Then they rush that new system. I don't know. All right, moving on to another game that won't be on Wii U, that's for sure, but it will be on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and we talked a lot about this game last week coming off Tokyo Game Show. That's Final Fantasy 15, and some more details have come out since Tokyo Game Show, just a little bit more about it. Right now, the director, Hajime Tabata, estimates that Final Fantasy 15 is like 55% complete, which I kind of sit there and go, it's been this long, and it's only 55% complete, so when's this game coming out? Like 2020 or when? But obviously it's, the number's been held back a little bit because they've had to reboot a few times, and they say this is not the same game. The director's different. The platform switched to the current gen, and because the platform changed, we had to reevaluate some things. So this is why, it seems like the number's so low, although it really does seem like we're going to get this game next year. I mean, we know the demo's coming in the early part of the year, so it may be a holiday release. We'll see. I don't know. At 55% right now, it may or may not. Who knows? Also, the road trip-like atmosphere is meant to inspire a sense of freedom in players, and the open-world elements are restrained a little bit for the sake of narrative. So don't expect the game to be completely open-world, but I'm assuming it's not going to be quite as bad as Final Fantasy XIII's first 10 hours either, so we'll see with that. Combat... You do not just simply press a button once for a single action to happen. It's a continuous flow of movements.
You have to push it several times.
It's more about the movements that are associated with the buttons and building upon them for actions to go through the combat system. That really is going to be different.
That reminds me of, Xenogears. Remember Xenogears where they had, a combo system where you would, tap different button presses to do different attacks? That was kind of cool.
So they are saying that episode... Duske? I don't know how to even say that word. This is going to be the demo that comes out for the game, and they're going to say it's an hour's worth of narrative content, but 3 to 4 hours of gameplay if you fully explore the game's world in the demo. That's pretty impressive thing.
Well, that's longer than fucking Ground Zeroes, so bravo to you for giving that away for free.
Well, free in quotes, because it's with the Final Fantasy Type 0.
But they are also going to have the demo available afterwards, remember?
Good. Oh, that's right. Also, a lot of memes and things coming out about the Broad Trip that we saw in the Tokyo Game Show trailer. I just kind of wanted to say on that, I'm sure that's probably part of the story, but I think it's also one part, and I think we'd be a little silly to assume that's going to be the entire game is Broad Trip, Final Fantasy Broad Trip, because in that first trailer we saw for the game, where they announced that it changed from, versus 13 to 15, we saw a lot of other stuff that wasn't just that. So just kind of throwing that out there, that I would expect that maybe the Broad Trip is what we'll see in the demo, but I imagine there's got to be more to it. So, all right. Well, let's take a trip. Let's take a trip down memory lane back to a time where, you didn't have 4-hour demos of games. You read about them in Nintendo Power. That was your option, because they're not going to produce a cartridge with a 4-hour demo in it. That's right. It's the classic game of the week, where Dark Soccer's going to step into the gaming vault and find a game that she thinks, hey, you should check out this game this week. Forget all this new shit. This is all stupid. Check out this classic. Dark Sakura back on her CPS kick this week, yes?
CPS 2. The game is 1944 The Loop Master, which is a vertical scrolling shooter made by Capcom. It came out in 2000, and this actually was not programmed by Capcom, but done by Rising. It's the fifth of a series of World War II shooters that Capcom made in the 19XX series. It actually is the sequel to 19XX, The War Against Destiny, and it has a lot of the same planes, including the P-38 Lightning and Mitsubishi A6M0, but does not include the de Havilland Mosquito and the Kyushu J7W. Those were replaced by others. So basically, it's just your standard shooter. You shoot planes, tanks, battleships, other boats, other thing, but it's a lot more like the earlier games as opposed to 19XX. You get the different stats for the planes. Each of them operate equally. One is the first or second player. And they do have the form change that was in 19XX. You can hold the fire button, charge it until it's full, and then the plane will fly up and become temporarily invincible. It also has a bomb button that uses Tomahawk missiles. You also have the wingmen in the game as well, where you get a small golden plane icon that comes down the screen that will release a wingman icon. And that gives you firepower, but they are vulnerable to enemy fire. And in stage 8, they fire laser shots. There are 15 stages in the game. On the arcade board, actually, you get an option to start from 1, 6, or 11. If it's set to endless, then you can also choose 1, 2, or 3. And of course, with different difficulty as you go through. And after destroying the level 15 boss, you actually get back to the first stage. It's a loop. Therefore, you can play the game endlessly. And the enemies will fire more rapidly if it's set to endless. So it's the loop master for a reason. And that's it.
So you do eventually master the loop when you beat the game, because everything comes full circle. So
Yes.
there it is. All right. I forgot about this one. I mean, I, of course, know the 1944 shooters. One of them was on the NES and it was 1942, 43, maybe both of them. But I forgot about 44.
Yeah.
So-
Well, technically, the big one that a lot of people do remember in the series is 19XX, as far as the arcade ones go, because that one got really big, like right around that time. The Loop Master was a little bit, I'd say, lesser known.
Well, XX was also a little bit more like Raiden, I think, wasn't it? Or
It was.
Raiden Fighters, I guess.
It had a lot more of that just sort of fantastical element to it.
This is like fun though, and it does the widescreen thing too, which a very different look from the other 19 games. So
It's also on that arcade cabinet sitting right behind you.
is it? Is it really? I got to get my little booster thing that I was supposed to get this weekend and didn't. So, all right, well there it is, your classic game of the week, 1944, the Loop Master. There you go. You master the loops just like you do at Cedar Point, apparently. There, in 1944. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, there's plenty more Orange Lounge Radio to come, including rapid fire news, the Fugal question of the week, talk about Minecraft clones on some big consoles, and it sounds like maybe League of Legends getting another Super Nanny step for the very naughty players, and science. When we come back with more of Orange Lounge Radio right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Orange Lounge Radio, live on this Sunday evening, September the 28th, 2014, our 569th show, already in progress. And we're going to get to some rapid-fire news. But let me ask this question of Dark Sakura and Loki and all the folks that are listening live tonight. Do I need to get Orange Lounge Radio an LO? Is that where the
No.
is that where the internet's going? Do we need an OLR LO?
No,
Why not?
because we don't.
Wouldn't it be like an OLOR?
OLOR. Oh, I like that one. That's good. But no, I mean, I guess people have kind of had it with Facebook and are talking these other social networks. Although I have an LO account. If you want to follow me on LO, I'm Rob Roberts. It's not a big deal. You're not going to find anything.
Mine's Dark Sakura.
Yeah, you're not going to find anything on there that exciting. Maybe a selfie or two.
I submitted a request to get one just for the fuck of it.
I'm sure I could get you an invite if you really want one.
I don't really care. I just,
Yeah.
put myself on there. I mean, whatever.
But here's the thing with that is that, like, everybody's talking like, oh, Facebook's screwed because everybody's going to LO, but like LO isn't Facebook. LO is missing a lot that Facebook has. And not that I'm saying, we should all kneel and worship at the altar of Facebook, because believe me, there's a lot about Facebook that pisses me off. And that whole rabble you're hearing with the drag queens about the real name policy, guess what? It doesn't just affect drag queens. It affects roller derby girls. It affects transgender individuals. It affects people that are trying to hide from stalkers. It affects sassy internet podcasters who don't feel like using their real name to keep their online life separate,
It affects the luchador industry.
It affects a lot of people. And so I think people are, and what really pissed me off personally is when Zuckerberg and some some interview or something had the audacity to say, if you don't use your real name, you don't have integrity or something like that. And like, I don't have a middle finger big enough for that guy after hearing that, because it's like, okay, says the guy who literally wrote a business after, using people's personal information and profiting off that.
Wait a second.
I don't have integrity because I use the name that people know me by on my Facebook. People are convinced this is my name, which I'm fine with.
I completely forgot this.
What?
So the website's lo.co or El Loco.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's perfect for the luchadors. It's perfect. El Loco. I love it.
And then let's see. So VXJasonXV links to one of those articles that talks about the dark side of LO, which I always am going to anticipate. Whenever something starts to grab momentum, there's always going to be that article about the dark side.
I'm calling it El Loco from now on. It's seriously
El Pollo Loco?
It's El Loco. And Act Deft actually says it's a real thing, even though I was joking about it, he has luchador friends.
That's awesome. And VXJasonXV says the Fuglo question of the week? Probably not. I don't... Unless LO really catches some more steam and fixes some of these other things they've got going on, I don't really see us.
My weekly OLR is on today post on LO today.
Okay.
Did you see it?
I did.
Okay,
But
then.
I couldn't retweet it and I couldn't favorite it.
That's why I removed the retweet or repost or whatever. Because whatevs.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, there you go. Little LO talk. I'll be curious to see how LO's doing in 7 days. We'll see. In the meantime, let's talk about some other gaming news going on around the industry. Back to games, and I don't think I've seen any video game companies on LO yet. So we'll see. All right. Let's move on. Loki.
Hey, what do you know? There's an actual guitar game coming out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Yes, they are porting Rocksmith 2014 to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It's going to be coming out a little bit later this year. And I guess this was outed through the ESRB listing for the game. So, cool. And maybe the DLC will transfer as well for that stuff. So, pretty cool. And I'm assuming that comes with the USB thing to plug into your guitar too. So, rock on. So Xbox Live Games with Gold for October. They've got a few games coming out. For Xbox 360, members will get Darksiders 2 and Battlefield Bad Company. Of course, Battlefield Bad Company being the first game that's available from October 1st through the 15th, and Darksiders 2 from the 16th through the 31st. And then for Xbox One, forget which... Chariot is going to be the game that's going to be coming out. And that was actually one of the ID at Xbox games. So, gotta love those indie games. I'm surprised we haven't seen an actual retail Xbox One game yet. Or maybe we're just not at that point yet, since the system hasn't even been out for a year yet.
To be fair, we haven't had a retail PlayStation 4 game either on PlayStation
I
Plus
guess,
yet.
yeah.
So nobody's kind of broken that barrier yet. Although I don't know what's happening with Drive Club, because
they're gonna get it's like a stripped down version, I guess.
like a demo.
It's like a Ridge Racer Vita version of the game, if you will. Where they're gonna have a few cars, a few tracks, and you can purchase the rest piecemeal, or you can purchase just an upgrade to the full version. But it's not going to be as much as buying the full version of the game, I guess.
Interesting.
I mean, it's cool that they have that kind of a demo out there. And Battlefield Bad Company 2 and Darksiders 2, I haven't played those yet, despite the fact that Darksiders 2 has been sitting in my Steam library forever now, but I still haven't played it. Shock.
Such is the way of the Steam library.
And you know me, I'm just like, every month that they have free stuff, I gotta download that. I'm like, I'm not gonna play these games on my Xbox.
Gotta buy them all.
It's seriously, it's like, I gotta get that. Because what if I want to play that one day, and then I'm gonna need it, It's like, so seriously. But yeah, might as well. I mean, it's free, and that's the thing. It's like when I was, through my retail job, not retail, but through my job at work, I get Microsoft training and stuff that I do on my own. And each year they have a accreditation program for Xbox. And what's the reward for finishing that? You're live. So I'm always, got live gold. So I wish they had that on Sony's end, because I could use some PlayStation Plus right now. That's it. And then last but not least, Even though it's already been announced that Amazon is purchasing Twitch, they have finished their acquisition, so money's changed hands, or at least some of that, and it is now owned by Amazon. So cool.
It is officially part of the Amazon collective. Which is, I like Amazon well enough. So, again, I'm curious to see if being a Prime member is going to get me any perks. We'll see.
I don't know if they will do anything because Amazon does own other companies, like, for example, Zappos, and they really haven't done anything with that. Aside from, they own it, but nothing's really changed.
Very true, very true. All right, well, moving on to some other news. Super Smash Bros. 3DS is coming out here in the States soon, but it's been out in Japan for about a week now, and there's some glitches that are being found inside the game, and one of them is apparently there's a glitch in the game where you will hear a cheer, a taunt, or not really cheer, but like an audience demand or chant, an audience chant for the Ice Climbers. Well, as you know, the Ice Climbers are not in the new Smash Brothers game. So that is very interesting. We've heard that, they were supposed to be in there, but that the 3DS didn't really have the processing power to keep them in.
Maybe the Wii U will have it, though.
Maybe the Wii U.
Although, isn't it supposed to be cross? Can you play, versus someone on the Wii U?
No, I don't think so. Although they wanted to really keep the games in parity. Maybe DLC that only works with the new 3DS or something. I mean, I don't know. I'm getting really crazy with that.
I just can't believe that can't support, I don't even get that they can't. I'm sorry, that character is too complex. I mean, why? It's just
because
two characters.
The problem was with all 4 people playing Ice Climbers is when it was a problem.
Oh,
That's
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So anyhow, you can hear that. That's pretty cool. Also on Super Smash Brothers, this will probably surprise nobody. Some people finding in the Japanese version, there's a stage DLC content in the ROM dump. So apparently, there are some stages that will appear later on through DLC. Well, I mean, that seems like a big duh, doesn't it? Also a duh. Content for Little Big Planet 3. Yes, Little Big Planet 3, of course, coming very soon to PlayStation 4. November 18th, I believe, is when the game's out. And there will be some Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes Sackboy stuff. So, you can put a little eye patch on your Sackboy, and you can have your little Sackboy tank and all this other stuff. So that's pretty cool. Skullface, Miller outfits. The game releases on November 18th, of course, Little Big Planet. We don't know when these come out, but it will be soon. Also, Order 1886 costume is supposed to be a part of that, too. That's pretty neat. And lastly, what would you say if I said Suikoden 6?
I would say there's a lot of characters in it.
That's right. Well, unfortunately, I'm not here to tell you that Suikoden 6 is happening. What I'm telling you is that Yuichi Haga, who is the online content producer for Konami Digital Entertainment, was doing a live stream for Suikoden 2, and of course, there was a ton of questions about Suikoden 6. And no update, sadly, about this RPG being developed, but Japanese fans apparently associate Suikoden with the Konami brand more than any other franchise, meaning Metal Gear, Pro Evo Soccer, Castlevania, and yes, even DDR. It gets not as associated as much as Suikoden does.
They tried to forget about Silent Hill lately.
Apparently.
Until the PT.
Yeah, until PT. And here in the U.S., I would think, oh my gosh, people have to think of like Castlevania before they would think of Suikoden.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I love Suikoden, but,
Castlevania and Gradius, maybe? Yeah. I don't know. But nowadays, I guess they would think Metal Gear, I would imagine.
Metal Gear.
By the way, Suikoden 5, 8 years ago on the PlayStation 2 was the last entry in the series. Why was Suikoden 2 being streamed? Well, it was to show the head honchos in Japan that fans are interested in the re-release of the game as a digital offering on the Sony Entertainment Network store. Because the game was rated for PS3 and PlayStation Portable, but it never actually came out, which kind of sucks. And if Shane was in the studio, I'm sure he would be having a cry because I know he loves Suikoden too. But then he'd just be like, whatever, I can play my PSP version.
I can't imagine there would be that much work to put any of those games on the PlayStation Store. I mean,
I have heard that it is incredibly easy to get a game on PlayStation 3.
Just put everything. Fuck, if it doesn't sell, who cares?
From PS1, like what are those, like PS1 is incredibly easy process.
Just just seriously put everything that you have. Why hold yourself back? That I mean, I guess the only that kind of boils it down, like with the the eShop and the virtual console releases. Like I never understood. I mean, they do a little bit more now, I guess, but I never understood why, if it was so easy to put that stuff on there, why they didn't just dump a whole bunch of stuff. I guess maybe they'd lose stuff, but they don't really have regular releases. It's like maybe a couple games each week if we're lucky, a couple games each month. I don't know. I just don't.
And now with PlayStation Now, but I mean, I understand that PlayStation Now is supposed to bring trophy support to old games and things like that. I mean, we're not seeing it yet.
That would be a little bit more complicated.
That would be a little more complicated, but hopefully some games will do it. Maybe that's something they're holding Suikoden for. Who knows? I mean, if they announced that Suikoden was like one of the first PS2 games on PlayStation Now, it would definitely give that service a big kick in the butt, like in the up direction, I think. Whereas a lot of people are bitching about the price now and all that stuff. I mean, if they sold Suikoden 2 at a flat fee with like trophy support and shit on PlayStation Now, that's a huge boost for the service, I think. But of course, I'm being very tinfoil hat with that, but could be a thing. Dark Sakura.
Well, Sega 3D Classics was announced in Japan for a retail release, which will include Space Harrier, Fantasy Zone, Outrun, Streets of Rage, Shinobi 2, Echo the Dolphin, Space Harrier. I already said Space Harrier. Outrun. I already said Outrun too, didn't I? Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, thank you, List, for being redundant. But anyway, it will be 39.80 yen, and will be out December 18th for the Nintendo 3DS, and hopefully we will hear about a U.S. release before too long. But I can tell you, if it's the same one as the Sega Ages release that came out, those 3D versions of Space Harrier and Fantasy Zone are really good. A bunch of fans have said, you know what, not having Mother 4 is shit, so they're making it themselves. There's a fan-made project that's going to be out on PC, Mac, and Linux for free, and it will basically be faithful to the story and art style of the last Mother games. And last but not least, the bundle I just bought was the Humble Bundle Weekly Female Protagonist Bundle. It's called the Leading Ladies Bundle. And so it has Miss Splosion Man, Lily Looking Through, RPG Defender's Quest, Valley of the Forgotten, and the Cat Lady, which I kind of wanted for a while, so I just got it just to get Cat Lady. You can pay $6 or more and get the Yogg or Long Live the Queen. If you pay $10 or more, you get the Valdis story, Abyssal City. So a good portion of the proceeds will go to Girls Make Games charity. Go get it. Buy lots of it.
I love the Humble Bundle. They have a lot of good stuff on there. Oh, it's a great way to contribute to my Steam library of games that I intend on playing at some point.
Yeah, see, like I wanted to buy the new Humble Bundle, but there's just too many repeats for stuff that I have already.
SSGO100 Matt in our chat room at live.vognetwork.com responding to one of the other things you talked about, Dark Sakura. SJ100 Matt says, ETA to the shutdown order of that Mother project? Yes. Sadly, with Nintendo
That's
involved.
why you don't announce those things. You just
right.
do it and then release it.
When it's on the internet, it's done. Exactly. Maybe they're trying to recruit help. It's probably part of the reason, and so they have to kind of put it out there to recruit the help because you got to work for free with stuff like that. So it can
that's why you use a project name and not, I don't know.
Yeah, might be hard though. All right, let's get to the Fugal. Sorry, not the Fugello, but the Fugal.
Fugello.
Yeah, the Fugal question.
Someday, maybe.
I like that. The Fugelhorn question of the week.
It's Radio
Did you ever play a Fugelhorn, Dark Sakura? I know you played a lot of instruments.
No.
I've
eaten bugles, though. Does that count?
Delicious.
Not quite. They're very corny, I guess.
Like your jokes. All right. You take Facebook, you take Google Plus, you slam those together, you get Fugal Plus and the Fugal question of the week. Let's get to it. Every week we ask a question, and this week is about PlayStation Home. And we asked, will you miss it? Did you ever give it a try? Are you sad to see it go? Why or why not? We'll start off over on Facebook with Burr, who says, I always found it amusing when people would compare Home to Second Life, only look at the graphics, missing the point that the latter is all user-created, make some tired joke about flying dongs, and declare Home superior. Meanwhile, Second Life is still alive, and its graphics have improved to a point surpassing Home. KJ says, I won't miss PlayStation Home. Well, maybe the 49 cents I paid for a ninja costume. I miss my 49 cents. Frown. Are you going to miss your Santa Claus outfit, Loki?
My guy seriously looks like a drunken
bad
like
Santa.
hobo Santa. So it'll make sense if I'm PlayStation homeless.
All right. Let's go to Seg next, who gave us 2 answers. He gave us a TLDR version, but to be honest, I liked the long-form answer, so I'm going to read it. So, in conversations about this in the past few weeks, the like-dislike had a very interesting gender overtone to it. My friends who identify as male either liked it enough to enjoy what was there for free or didn't care about it. My female friends tried it out, get sexually harassed by men via the chat and character actions, never to return. Home is best remembered by learning from the flaws. The platform decisions you make in a game will directly affect the society it creates. Playing with friends was hard, if not impossible. Even with all the premium housing, costumes, items, etc., there wasn't a good way to show that off to people you know. There was no way to make a better environment for yourself. We all lived in public. This leaves one with a sea of random people, abuse and all, where flagging the behavior was a journey in itself. There were games that I enjoyed in the home platform. Sure, there were low level and basic, but some were fun, especially for free. Ultimately, Sony didn't place their investments in the right way to make home better. What we're left with is a mediocre or less experience, which we can learn lessons from in the future. I think Destiny learned a bit of Home's problems with the fire team functions. Easy to add friends in a group, then everyone's always in the same instance of gameplay. When you play with randoms, you don't hear or see them speak. Still, I'll take Uru Mist Online any day. Note, a friend of mine worked on Home and is losing his job with his closure. Thankfully, it's known with a timeline, so he's in a much better position to find his next job. So, I know that was a long answer, but it definitely brought an interesting thing to light with that whole gender issue.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a gender issue. It's more of a people are anonymous on the internet and they act like assholes issue. And this has been something ever since voice chat on the internet was a thing. Not even voice chat, like chatting on the internet was a thing.
Oh my God, a girl, show me your boobs.
And it doesn't even be like, it doesn't even have to be that you're a girl.
If the true nature of people.
If your avatar is a girl in the game, you're going to get people acting like idiots because they can anonymously because there's no way to get it tracked back to you.
Yeah, we don't need feminism. Just saying. / sarcasm.
But I like to play female. My character in Destiny's female. And of course, I got punched in the face the other day, but I think that would have happened no matter what. But anyway, moving on. Gaming Nerd says, I've never tried it myself and was always curious to check it out and see what it was like. Maybe sometime before it shuts down for good, I'll have a look just to see what I've missed out on. And Chiggers says they should give everyone a store credit if they spent real money on clothes or accessories since they're shutting it down. See, Chiggers, I understand where that reaction comes from, but the problem is this is something you have to understand when you buy gear in a virtual game. That game will go away, and it doesn't matter what it is. It's
typically written into the terms of service as well, so you agreed to that they have the right to do this.
Exactly, and I know it kind of like sucks in retrospect, but like literally any game you've bought digital content for, that's another reason why I get nervous buying digital games. I mean, sure, I can always re-download the game at a later date if I, delete the game off my system, but what if one day Microsoft shuts off Xbox Live? I mean, someday that's going to happen.
That's going to suck for people playing Titanfall.
So that's just, I mean, these are all things you have to consider is that it is a limited time. Anyway.
Just the thing that people need to realize, though, is that it's not they forced you to do this or this, that, the other. You agreed to it.
Yeah.
If you didn't agree to it, then you wouldn't be playing it now.
It's also like a digital rental. You watch the movie and now it's gone. Well, you don't get your money back, because you got the value out of it for that limited time that you agreed to, I guess is the closest comparison I can think of. Anyway, I don't mean to poo-poo your opinion, Chiggers, but I kind of go, I see that what you're saying is kind of like a real kind of like gut reaction, but if you really kind of like look at the bigger picture, it's like, oh, anything digital is going to have this problem. And we hear this a lot with anything digital that shuts down. All right, I am the laziest. I love it. No, I am the laziest. No, I am the laziest.
I am the laziest one.
Dark Sakura just yawned. She is the laziest. All right, anyhow. The man claiming to be the laziest says, I gave it a shot when I first got my PS3. Then when I actually got games, I ignored it. S2100 Matt says, I think Home was a great idea ahead of its time that just didn't work out. I think the next incarnation of it, as possibly an onboard OS, will be more useful and intuitive. I was really hyped for it when it was announced because I saw the possibility of it being a cool gaming social network. When I finally played it when I got a PS3 many years later, and it looked totally deserted. Over to Google Plus and getting some of our answers over there. I think we had just a couple of answers on Google Plus. And I'm waiting on Google Plus to load and show me those answers. Here we go. We have 3 comments tonight. I'll start with DNL. I love DNL. DNL says, I used PlayStation Home and once upon a time was tapped to join the team. I turned them down. Ultimately, the execution of the system was not self-sustaining. Monetization of the content was non-existent, and integration into the home system was not seamless. It was cumbersome to use at best, and I'm sad to say that the vision of the overall product was shortchanged. I'll be sad to see it go. A very respectful but very accurate read that I have to agree with. I mean, I think she hits the nail on the head when she says, where is it? Integration into the home system was not seamless. It was cumbersome to use at best. I mean, that's my biggest issue with it, is that, like, on paper, I love the idea of home, but like here's me with my big finger pointing up saying this. Anyhow, Redtertainment says, I remember spending a couple of hours fooling around in PlayStation Home. I played some of the games, wandered around in some of the spaces, and even took in the Uncharted area of Home that Naughty Dog had set up. In the end, I didn't find enough compelling inside of Home to spend and substantive time in it outside of the handful of times I briefly logged on. Unfortunately, this is the experience that most people had with Home. Much like 1 versus 100, Home had the promise of potential that was never actually realized. Oh, kick me in the gut, why don't you? But see, here's where I would argue. 1 versus 100, I think was a little more realized in a way. But anyway, I mean, can you imagine if they built something like 1 versus 100 into PlayStation Home? The biggest hurdle to that would have just been that seamlessness that we heard about in the other comment. But anyway, one more answer from ActDeft, who says, PS Home wasn't something that appealed to me or something that I had to get a PS3 for. It had potential, but it lacked substance, so I can see why it failed and why it's getting taken down. Sucks for the people that actually enjoyed it and also had bought stuff for it, but in this day and age of digital content, nothing lasts forever. True facts. Thanks for the answers. Appreciate it, guys. Again, you can friend us on Facebook and Google Plus and answer a future Foogle question of the week. Meanwhile, we get back into some long-form news. I usually ask for our perspectives on the question, but we kind of already talked about that earlier in the show. So
My perspective is...
did you ever really get to try it? Yeah, I was going to say...
I didn't care.
Yeah.
I read... Because this is how I do about everything. I read up on it, decide if I want to do it or not.
Yeah.
I read up on it. Seemed like a monumental waste of time to me. So,
I wouldn't call it a waste of time.
well, to me.
Yeah, no, I understand.
To me, it would have been a waste of time.
Well, some would say video games are a waste of time, but no, I understand. Everything's a personal taste, right? All right.
Also, keep in mind, I did try Second Life.
Did you?
And I stayed with it for 2 whole weeks.
2 whole weeks?
It was free.
Oh, there you go.
And I actually found it was when I was on my big Avatar kick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like the movie Avatar.
The movie Avatar.
Did people build like Pandorans?
Yeah, people did.
Oh.
It was actually really cool. It was really neat going around and seeing what other people created and just seeing just the different ways that people would try to interpret, what they saw of their fandoms. I saw some for various fantasy universes. I kind of did avoid the sexy playground ones or whatever, but it was actually very robust.
Going to chat room because we have Gossipy Dish in our chat room, and I love me some Gossipy Dish over at live.vognetwork.com. And yet again, the Seg, who said earlier in the show he should have driven up tonight, and I'm starting to agree, Seg. You should have just been here tonight because lots of great comments from Seg tonight. And Seg says, 1 versus 100 only failed because the ad team didn't do their job. Talk to an engineer who worked on 1 versus 100 at GDC this year. That literally was the reason. Gold sales went up with 1 versus 100. Is it that the ad team didn't or couldn't? I mean, I'm just curious. Like, not that I don't think you don't know the difference, but I'm wondering, was it that people, because now that I think about it, I only ever saw like Sprint commercials on that thing. That was like the only company I ever saw back 1 versus 100. Did no one else get it? Maybe, I don't know. But Seg, if you haven't heard it, you got to hear last week's show because when we had Jackbox Games on, they talked about how You Don't Know Jack was almost game number 2 for that whole thing, and that was a huge I'm surprised more people aren't talking about what he said last week on the show, but there you go. I thought it was very interesting. So anyway, let's move on. More news, Loki.
All right, I don't know how much news this really is, but apparently if you're digging, you really, really want to play Minecraft on the Wii U, well, you're not going to be able to play Minecraft on the Wii U right now, but don't worry, because someone's there to fill the void, and they're making their own Minecraft clone called Ucraft, and it's by some anonymous developer, a licensed developer for the Wii U. And it's a Unity game. I can totally tell just the screenshot. It's a Unity game, but I don't know if you really should be getting that excited about it. Because we've seen these kind of a dime a dozen on the Xbox indie.
I was gonna say, I was like, wow, I don't think I've really seen studios do just straight up Minecraft clones. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, Xbox Live indie games. Oh my God, there was 100 million billion of them, and even on the mobile app stores, iTunes and Google Play, there's tons of them.
There are, and I'm going to tell you right now, once you get one on there, it's not going to be the end of it, and especially now that, the Wii U, you can export to the Wii U using, Unity. I'm sure you're going to see a lot more these types of games. Yeah. But I just hope it's not like a literal, because a lot of these Minecraft clones, like I've played, Castle Miner Z and stuff like that, and they're okay. They were like $1. And it had, it's just like really terrible graphics, and it's Minecraft with zombies and skeletons and shit, and you have guns. That was kind of the difference. And this right now, just in the screenshots, looks like it's very basic. They've got the standard assets, skybox in there, diffuse, textures. It just looks really basic. But they're claiming it's like an alpha, the alpha images, but I don't know. Whatever. Hey, cool. If it's cheap enough, you know what? It might not be a bad thing to waste your time on, because there was a lot of those clones that came out on Xbox indie games that people really, liked. So, cool. I hope that does come out, and maybe at least shows, Mojang or Microsoft or whoever that there might be some interest on that platform.
Well, it's not going to matter now. After Microsoft has no interest in building this on Nintendo. Well, I say that, but then I go back and think, oh yeah, there was a Viva Pinata 3DS game, so I guess anything is fucking possible. But I really don't see it happening. I sort of think what needs to happen, if Nintendo really wants this to be a thing, then if this hasn't already happened with whatever developer is making this, Nintendo needs to find the developer capable of doing it, and Pope Nintendo needs to bless the game by saying, you can put Mario and Link in it. Because if you can put Mario and Link in Minecraft or whatever, then it'll sell like Mario Goes Mining will sell 11 billion copies. Think about it. If you could marry the Minecraft world with Mario, there it is.
Mario, or what about like Rossetti?
Mr. Rossetti's Digging Adventure, and then he yells at you if you turn the game off too early. I actually kind of love that idea.
Have you ever actually been in Mr. Rossetti's house? Didn't
it only show up like once in a blue moon type of thing?
I've managed to make it into his house.
Yeah,
he has a couple of toilets.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What if the next Animal Crossing were to take elements of Minecraft? I think
it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Animal Crossing will never change.
Yeah, Animal Crossing does kind of have
the forest will always be the forest.
But man, I think about like what those games would look like if they could get married a little bit, and it's kind of awesome. But I don't know, maybe it's a bit much.
And I don't know. See, ironically enough, for my game, I actually had to build something that basically is like Minecraft, for my editor, and what they have on the screen is actually not that difficult to make. There's tutorials out there that build that pretty easy. So I don't know. Hopefully it's fun, because that's really when it comes down to the end of it. It can look like shit, but if it's fun, it doesn't matter.
All right, well, this game's doing very well because it's a lot of fun for a lot of people, and that is League of Legends. But you know what makes this game not fun and really turns some people off sometimes? It's done with me and some other people I know.
Assholes?
Assholes, that's right. Toxic players, people that are dicks. Well, Riot Games has been doing, to be fair, they've been trying to come up with ways to sort of, punish those toxic players and basically let them know that they're not welcome inside League of Legends. And this is going to be interesting. There is a patch coming to League of Legends, and if a player is voted down for negative behavior and they're already operating under a chat restriction, they will have to, what's happening in the game now, you are already operating under chat restriction if you're voted down for negative behavior. You have to play a certain number of games, and then you can speak in the game again. So being able to speak in League of Legends is something you earn, essentially, if you don't act like a jackass. But here's another restriction that's coming with this patch. You will not be able to play ranked play. That's right. Ranked restricted players will have a certain number of games that you have to play before you can return to queuing for ranked matches. Meaning, what's the only possible pool of players? They'll have to play with new players in the basic pool to work their way back up to the ranked pool. And not only do they have to play with the basic players, they have to act nice, because if they keep getting ranked down, they'll never get to see the ranked matches again. This is kind of awesome.
I love it.
I love it. Good job, Riot Games. If you are too deeply in negative territory and rank restricted at the end of a given competitive season, you will be ineligible for receiving special rewards for ranked play. So it's like Riot Games has now written, you will not be a dick into the rules. If you want to get rewards, you will not be a jerk. Jerks do not get rewarded. Super Nanny is at work over at Riot Games, and I love this. What do you guys think in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com?
I'm applauding it with my brain.
Let's see. ActDef says, my brother plays League of Legends and just uses Skype instead of the in-game chat. When he's playing with friends, of course. When he isn't, he just doesn't talk. SSJ100 Matt says, I just wonder how people can abuse this, like an entire clan downvoting one person just to be a jerk. Ooh, I hope that isn't something that people can take advantage of. The Seg says, I don't know if throwing the most toxic players to your new users is a good idea. But at the same,
as long as they can't talk to them.
If they can't talk to them, remember they already got their right to talk stripped away. So if they don't shape up, they have to ship out. Bochikawa says, to be honest, I like that a lot. I never do ranked matches and usually just hush if someone wants to start talking out of their butt. And Fifth Dream says, that should be the first line in any end-user license agreement. You agree to not be a jerk. That should be like the big font right at the top. Loki, is the game you're making going to have online play? Because I think your EULA should have that in like 24-point font right at the top.
I can put it on there anyways, but no. It's not, at least right now, I'm not planning on doing any sort of online stuff.
It could pop up with a question, like when you start the game, are you a jerk, yes or no? And if they click yes, the game uninstalls.
Kind of dumb. No, I'm not going to do that.
You're no fun at all. All right. Let's move on. Dark Sakura.
This one actually, what gave me the decision to post this story was Becky's reaction to it. Because as you know, my best friend Becky has a 7-year-old. It's a game called Galaxies, Galxyz. And it's put out, it's actually has affiliation with the New York Academy of Sciences. The game's launching in 2015, and it's going to be an online educational game for children. Basically, it's kindergartners through 12th graders. It was created because a dad saw his kids getting bored playing science education games. He wanted them to be challenging, which makes them more effective. And so his name is Osman Rashid, and he's the CEO of Galaxies. And this is a quote from him: "Students have the capacity to learn. Students have more capacity to learn than we give them credit for. They are naturally perceptive and will easily see through the products that seek to fool them into thinking they're fun." So basically, the New York Academy of Sciences is going to be keeping an eye on students as they play the game across the world that show more science aptitude, and those that excel will be considered for free science education through an online talent organization called the Junior Academy. And so if they are let in, they will get mentoring, high-level online science courses, and opportunities to participate on research teams. So they're starting with an initial pool of 500 students and are hoping to increase into the thousands as the project goes on. So I think this is really awesome.
Hooray for science. We don't talk enough about like edutainment games on the show, really. So it's kind of neat to always see how they kind of bridge education and gaming together, you know?
You can learn more about it at galaxies.com, GALYXZ.com.
All right. Do you think lots of kids will learn about science thanks to this?
I hope so. I'd really. The thing is, this is not so much learning as seeing, because I always think that when it's something that you can be engaged in, that's what makes it fun and interesting to keep up with it. When you start participating with it and finding a reason to keep participating, then you're going to keep learning something. It's going to be something new every time. It'll keep bringing you back instead of making it seem like just something they're shoving down your throat, like, linear algebra.
Tiger Claw in chat says, now only if these games had people perform actual science experiments. You mean like on Mr. Wizard's World, even though they would always have the disclaimer, don't try this at home?
He hated children, right?
You know you're going to do that at home. I always thought that was urban legend and not actually fact.
I
but
don't know.
Yeah.
Just always...
That's kind of like one of those, like the same urban legend that Mr. Rogers was like a trained sharpshooter in the military or something like that.
That was completely not true. He was a Methodist minister.
But still, just people love the imagery of Mr. Rogers like carrying around a sniper rifle. Just, won't you be my neighbor? Psh, my dead neighbor. All right. Moving on, Loki.
All right, so there was a lawsuit against Activision. I don't even really remember this. I think this was from a while ago, but there was a lawsuit where there was regarding a patent that a company called, was it McRow Inc., had, which was automatic animated lip synchronization and facial expressions of 3D characters. So basically they took, and you see a lot of this with like patent trolls, where they took the process for, lip syncing something like you would do in like a cartoon or something and add on a computer to the end of the patent. And so like there was precedent set with, was it Alice Corp versus CLS Bank International, where I think it was the same type of situation where they were like, okay, we have a patent for banking, like something banking related, but on a computer, and so because the precedent was set by that case in which they invalidated those patents, the same thing kind of happened here, where the case was dismissed and those patents that were owned by McRow were actually invalidated, because you can't just add on a computer at the end of a patent and hope to have something brand new. So hopefully they do this a lot more with different patents, because there's a lot of those.
Yeah, like the podcasting patent. That would be fantastic if that happened to this.
Well, that one's tough because people keep settling with them when they, win or lose. I don't know. I don't think they've won any of them, but they keep settling.
I think they keep settling. I think they're going to go after the NBC, CBS. They've basically said they're not going to go after like individual podcasters, but these big companies. But anyway, I'm starting to digress. But it is obviously an issue that raises all of our eyebrows, because it's a little ridiculous if you ask me. It's like claiming to invent the RSS feed. But anyway. All right. Another week, another lawsuit here on the program. Let's talk about something that probably would be a lawsuit, except it's a Chinese bootleg, and there's really not a lot you can do about that because this happens all the time. But it has to do with a Hearthstone bootleg in China, but it's not what you think. It's not the computer version of Hearthstone being bootlegged. It's like an actual, tangible version of Hearthstone. Yes, in China, they have actually made a like paper version of Hearthstone with like printed cards and everything and counters to keep track of lives and all this stuff. It's a physical version of Hearthstone. So you can apparently track this down in China for about $50. Even though the original is free to play, but there it is. You can read more about this if you want. GamesInAsia.com has a full rundown on this. Real-life Hearthstone cards, and you can even see what some of these like little counters that count down the life and so forth look like. But there was there's no coin to flip to start the match at the beginning. They have a coin card itself, though, which is part of the game. So, there it is. Hearthstone is available tangibly overseas. Interesting. I wonder if there would be enough demand for this if Blizzard's interested at all in putting out a physical version of this. I would think probably not, because they're making all their money off the the cards and the mystery packs that you open and all that stuff. But interesting. Fifth Dream in chat says, I assume they were going to make a real one. No, I don't think they will. Bochikawa says, Wizards of the Coast needs to get on top of that market. So there it is. All right. Let's get into the mailbag. Every week you guys send us emails, and we bootleg, with your permission, your emails and read them on the show. Participate at orangeloungeradio.com is the place to send your emails. Darsakura will dive into the mailbag and pull out whatever emails there are, and make sure that they are fit for user consumption. That, it's not like a penis enlargement email that somebody's sending the show. She will read it for all of our listeners and for us here in studio to respond to. So participate at orangeloungeradio.com. Dark Sakura, what's in the mailbag tonight?
One mail.
One!
Hi, OLR. Just a quick email for you guys. Please no Kim Kardashian music. You mentioned last week something about who would name their company Skynet. Funny story, the biggest telecom company in Belgium, Belgacom, calls their ISP Skynet. According to Wikipedia, Skynet's operations are almost exclusively performed by war machines, cyborg, usually a Terminator, and it gives a link, and other computer systems with the goal of exterminating the human race. This is fairly accurate, as having to do with their customer service will surely make you want to kill the person on the other end of the phone, thus contributing to exterminating the human race. I hope you make it to episode 666, and thanks to Rob for posting the podcast promptly nowadays so your overseas listeners can enjoy it on Monday morning. All the best, Martin from Belgium.
Hooray, emails from overseas, and you're welcome. And
Send me chocolate.
I've been a good boy about posting podcasts pretty promptly for
Martin,
a few years now.
Martin, send me chocolate. I haven't had good Belgian chocolate in ages. No, seriously, Belgian chocolate is like the best chocolate in the world.
So here's what I want to know. And Darsakura, I know you weren't here last week, but in a nutshell, Square Enix is going to be doing a cloud computing service called Shinra, which, right? Yeah, see? And so I said that would be like announcing a new computing service that you're calling Skynet. And so that's why he sent in this email. So my question is the Terminator like a big part of pop culture in Belgium like it is here? Or is it like not really a thing? Like people don't know what that is? Because that would explain
I've
that.
actually never been to Belgium, Rob.
Me neither. Let's go.
Let's go right now. Martin, we're going to come stay in your living
that's
room.
Right. We're crashing.
Clean off the couch. Have some chocolate waiting for me.
Have some fries waiting for me. Loki, you want to come with? We're going to Belgium.
What about fries in Belgium?
Waffles.
All right, waffles. Waffles, fries, and chocolate.
Hey, Rob.
What?
Penguins and sweaters.
That's not in the mailbag.
No, it's not. But I just scrolled past it and I thought of you.
All right. Participate at orangeloungeradio.com if you want to send us an email for a future week. And it can be from whatever country you want. We'll even take emails from Ohio, of which I'm expecting a few this week. All right.
I have no fucking problem with Ohio. Stop it. Every state has fucking boring shit in it. Especially New Jersey.
Let's detail them all right now. All right. You can hear Dark Sakura starting to get agitated, and there's no better time during the show to do the FUs of the week.
Oh, this is bad. Here is justice. Here is punishment. This is fucked up.
Fuck my headache. Fuck my headache. And I'm so just tired all the time. So fuck being tired too. I mean, okay, I really love what I do. Love it. And no, I'm not telling any of you where I work. But I love it. At the same time, holy shit, I just like to be home for an entire day. So
I love what I do too, but I also really love sitting on the couch and playing video games all day.
I love not wearing pants.
That's why you work from home. If you can.
Well, there's just some days I'll be like, it's lunchtime. I'd like to be home in my pajamas right now. It's my break. I'd like to be home in my pajamas right now. No, I like what I do. I am happy to dedicate the time that I do to it, because this is the first place I've worked at in ages that I have actually really felt like I'm contributing, like I'm a part of things, and I really love it. But I'm really tired at the same time, and would just like a day where nobody asks me to draw something. I don't have to do flyers. I don't have to talk to people. I don't have to look at people. I don't have to wear actual clothes or makeup, or my hair could be a big poofy rat's nest. Don't care. It's just me and the cat eating ice cream, both of us out of the same bowl, watching YouTube. It'd be great.
All right. I want to say something, but I can't talk about your job, so I'll say it off here. All right,
Okay.
Loki.
Fuck you, the farmers insurance. Mainly all the independent farmers insurance agents out there. That seriously is such a pyramid scheme. If you're looking for work and happen to be dumb enough to post your resume online publicly, you will get called by literally thousands of these people because for some reason there's all these independent branches. Can you imagine how this massive army of farmers insurance people that are actually trying to get people to buy insurance from them? No thanks.
My FU of the week goes to my lack of motivation to really buckle down and lose some weight because I really want to get on that, and I just keep falling off the wagon continuously over and over
Eating my
again.
chips.
And I know, but the chips are so good. I need to channel the strength of Richard Simmons, who, by the way, tweeted me this week, and I quit the internet because once you get Richard Simmons to tweet you, you win.
Are you gonna
Victory.
glitter squat?
That's the only way I'm gonna lose weight is to glitter squat. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go to Richard Simmons' Facebook page. And if you hate Richard Simmons or you make fun of Richard Simmons, I'm coming for you. I ain't nobody got time for a Richard Simmons hater because seriously, what negative thing has that man ever done? He does nothing but help people. He's a good person. I love him. Platonically, don't take it to a weird place. But he tweeted me, and I win the internet. And you lost. The end. All right. Let's get to a couple more stories for you guys, and then we'll open up the Skype line at 1-877-GAME-OLR or our username on Skype, orangeloungeradio. Let's get to the last few news stories here. Loki.
All right. So Steam has hit a milestone surpassing 100 million users. With that, also, of course, they've added the whole curation system now. So now you can actually, I believe if you have a Steam group, you can add your own curation page where you can recommend different games and give them reviews and that kind of stuff, and people can go visit that. And you may have been seeing a lot of this on like social media where they're talking about like, hey, go like our curation page or go join it or something like that. So they have that. And then, of course, the Steam music player that was in beta for the longest time has now been released. So you can actually use the Steam Music player. It's integrated into Steam and use your own library with that. So kind of one of the things that they're going to be using for the Steam OS, and be curious to see what other kind of non-gaming applications they have for Steam OS because we don't really know too much about it yet.
Yeah, what is the status of all that stuff with Steam? I noticed though that Steam, like it looks a lot different now. Like they did some weird like it looks blue and they use some different fonts. Like I like its look. I like the blue look a lot because blue is prettier than gray. But it definitely looks like they're like ramping up to something. But what was the last on this whole Steam OS thing?
I have
We haven't
no
really seen
idea.
anything.
Another cool thing about the Steam Music player, if you do happen to check it out, you'll notice if you own some Valve games that you'll have the soundtracks for said games. So like Half-Life, Portal 2, and also I guess they've got.
I wonder if that's how Humble
some
Bundle's going to do the soundtracks in the future.
Possibly that'd be pretty
probably.
cool.
I bet it is.
Have like a Steam code for the soundtrack.
Yeah. Have you tried Steam in big picture mode lately? It's a slick little interface.
I
really
haven't
like
tried
that.
it lately, but I've used it in the past. I've looked at big picture mode, but on my laptop, it's kind of useless.
Yeah, no, it's I was actually just using it last night because I was feeling lazy and I just kind of had the controller and I was like, well, it also when you upgraded Steam, and I don't know if this is just because I'm opted into the beta program, a little picture of a controller now shows up in the upper right.
Yeah,
and I was like, what's this do? And I clicked it and it was like, oh, it's in big picture mode, and I was like, wow, this is like all splashy and blue and different from what I remember. So yeah, it feels very fluid. And that's what led me to playing things like Crypt of the Necrodancer again and stuff that's enabled for big picture mode. It's like playing a Xbox or something. It's great. So Fifth Dream in chat says, how do I delete these Valve albums from my Steam player? It's not like they gave you U2. Come on.
Don't even start.
Let's see. What else? ActDev says Steam is blue. Da ba dee ba da ba ba dee. Oh boy. All right. And Costin says Humble doesn't do Steam codes anymore, unfortunately. What?
They link them to your Steam account.
Oh
So you
yeah,
have-
that's right. You link them to your account instead. That's okay.
That's
It's
not
still
that's
the same thing. to
Not
me.
entirely true because I had to enter a Steam code in. I think for Road Redemption.
It might depend on what it is you're getting through the Humble store, and just like what Kickstarter might be a different thing. Who knows? So, anyhow,
I kind of like that. I don't have to enter in Steam codes sometimes, so I'm all down with that.
Bobby Blackwolf is toying with what I said earlier about big picture mode in Xbox, saying, "You mean it's like playing a Steam box?" Well, yes, it is actually a lot like that. But it's cool that I can get the sense of what that would really feel like on my PC. I don't know. It's just kind of... And that I didn't actually buy a damn Steam box. I just am using my PC to do it. It's still kind of neat. So, all right. Let's move on with one more story here about, speaking about consoles and what they really do. Game consoles are actually the most popular streaming device in most American homes. And a lot of you guys are probably sitting here going, well, duh, I probably could have told you that. But this is important because this is research from Parks Associates, which was reported on in Home Media Magazine. 46% of American households with broadband have a video game console connected, and 38% use said console as their primary means of streaming entertainment like Netflix or Hulu. Okay? But here's the thing. A comment from Barbara Krause, who's the director of research, says, quote, gaming consoles are the most frequently used connected CE device because of their high adoption rates. Of the broadband households that have only one connected CE device, nearly 60% have a game console. As the non-gaming capabilities of consoles have expanded, so too has the potential for consoles to become an entertainment platform for online content such as video, music, and apps. So this means that right now consoles are bigger than Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Google Chromecast. Only 9% use a Blu-ray disc player that has all that stuff built into it. I mean, gaming consoles really are becoming that all-in-one box. So even more so than when it wasn't really till I heard this is bigger than Roku and Apple TV when I was like, oh shit, gaming consoles like really are kind of a big deal with this streaming stuff. So kind of neat to hear about, but also kind of shows you this is why sometimes Microsoft walks out on stage and has a press conference that is TV, and why Sony might spend part of their E3 conference talking TV, because it is getting bigger. That's what these things do. And, another article I saw on this made the comparison to, remember the PlayStation 2 and why it did so well? Because it played DVDs. So game consoles being an all-in-one media box, definitely not a new thing. So let's see. Brad from Pod Culture says the biggest missing feature from Xbox One for me was the connection to Media Center. A comment from our chat over at live.vognetwork.com, along with Kane Shadow, who says, consoles is for media centers, not video games. Games are just the sideshow. That's it. This is a media box that happens to play games too. That's where we're headed. All right, anyhow, that does it for our stories tonight. We are done with the stories, but that means now it's on to you guys, and you can call us right now. Our Skype line is open at 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype is orangeloungeradio. If there's something you want to give your thoughts on that we've talked about tonight, or any other topic as well, maybe something we didn't get to. Although I got to say, just in trying to put together this week's show and everything, I was like, boy, it was kind of a slow news week. So I don't know.
It's pretty slow.
I don't know what we might have missed, but maybe you guys are on something that, or maybe there's like a project we overlooked or a funny YouTube or something that you want to talk about. Or something else. Who knows? Let's get to it, though. The phone is ringing. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Hey, guys, it's Jason.
Hey, Jason, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
We miss you here at Studio OLR, but I understand you don't actually live in California.
Yeah, well, after being on the show for like 3 months straight, you might think otherwise.
Oh, come on. We loved having you here. Well, what's on your mind, buddy?
So you made a comment earlier when we were talking about the esports arena. I like the fact that I've adopted the royal we. Well, that's the intro for you. You made the comment when talking about the story about the esports arena, and you said that you feel that that should be getting put to use for things besides just gaming. Mm-hmm. I think you named a couple of artists and actually like that kind of a performance.
Well, it was a little bit of not a joke, but more of a, just to kind of show like, there are performers that do big arena shows that, or the circus or Disney on Ice or whatever else an arena is used for.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess the question that I wanted to ask you, though, is do you know how many, like, as far as Korea is concerned and like the legitimate, for lack of a better word, esports circuit, do you know how many gaming events take place?
Yes, but we're not on Korea's level yet. We're nowhere close to that.
But when should we actually take those same steps?
Well, I'm not saying that the gaming arena is like a bad thing or anything. I'm just surprised that they're not talking about a multi-purpose arena. That this is like a gaming dedicated thing, because I wouldn't think that these huge gaming events happen 365 days a year. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I guess there's always something
I think
going
it
on
is
Twitch, but
already there, and I think the fact that there is a dedicated venue for this, the problem is going to be like when you go to branch out into different games. How many like game facilities do they have? But like. WCS, if I remember correctly, they stopped doing it in America. But there was some circuit that I was watching a StarCraft match in a New York tower. The view on screen, just like watch the players and then just look behind them, look out the window. Gorgeous view. They were like 50, 60 stories up in some New York tower. Anyways, go ahead.
You said something else about, what's the problem or so forth. And I'm said the problem is, and I'm going to get haters with this comment, and I'm sorry, but the problem is it's in Ohio.
But the only people that need to be there are the players. Like web streams are such that everybody can watch at home, and it really doesn't matter where.
They have to fill the arena. There has to be an audience too.
Not necessarily, not except for the biggest like finals events.
I guess.
So the point that I was making about the New York Tower thing is that I was watching at like 3 or 4 in the morning local. So it was 7 a.m. New York. And it was a bunch of overseas players, which was even crazier for like jet lag purposes and all that kind of stuff. But it was like crack of dawn, first thing in the morning in a New York Tower and American circuit StarCraft matches. So my counterpoint is that there is already enough content that with a dedicated space, they can put the facility to use for everything to be set up correctly, and then just add concessions and do everything else they need for the big grand arena, 16-player semifinals, quarterfinals, finals kind of thing.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. It's just an arena seems like such a big undertaking, and I'm just surprised we're talking about it only for gaming and not more of a community thing. But keep in mind too, here's where my perspective is at right now, is that here in Sacramento, they have been fighting tooth and nail for years to get a new arena. And this really doesn't have anything to do with gaming, but just to show you where my perspective's at. They've been fighting tooth and nail for years to get a new arena downtown. And they threatened to move our only professional sports team, Major League, I should say, the Sacramento Kings, part of the NBA, right? They threatened to move them to Seattle. And they literally almost left because their current arena, Arco Arena, is or whatever the fuck they call it now, but it's always be Arco Arena to me. I guess they say is too damn old and falling apart or whatever. So basically the NBA strong-armed the town into building a new arena, but they had to kind of be like, it's not just about basketball. It's going to be the downtown spot for all these events, and we're going to lure all these, artists and concerts. So I guess that's why, Jason, and at the end of the day, my head is that, how did the community let them build this fucking arena just for games? But again, 15 minutes outside of major city Ohio and downtown Sacramento, I suppose, are much different. But
yeah, and there's a lot of other details, like the fact that it may not be quite as big as a multi-purpose arena, and they may have to concede to do that in the future, to let other events in and do that kind of thing, just because it does make sense. But I don't follow esports games enough to say that I'm like gonna be a fan and support this kind of stuff. I'm hopeful for it for the people that do this kind of thing. There is enough gaming variety out there that things can be happening very perpetually. Every first-person shooter, every strategy game, special events. I mean, they could not even just esports, but just gaming events in general, like big debuts, SDA speedrunning events can take place there. Like the amount of content that's grown to such in the gaming world that a lot can be done with a dedicated, well-stocked, wired-up venue. And I'm looking forward to that.
You know, you won't really be seeing me getting on a plane to Ohio anytime soon to go to one of these events in person, unless they ask me to host one. Then I'd so be there. I'll go to the Rock and Roll Museum. I will go to Cedar Point and take some selfies.
You'll be hosting this event with none other than Richard Simmons.
Oh my! I would die. He's my hero. I would. Oh my God! I could drop dead the next day, and I would have lived a full life. Anyway.
Why don't we have a Richard Simmons fitness video game?
I was, you know what got me the tweet on Twitter from Richard Simmons was I was asking, why doesn't Richard Simmons have a podcast? Because I would listen every day to a Richard Simmons podcast. And then my buddy Spike from Game Buoy said something to that. And then I think I replied to that with just something general that was like, I just think Richard Simmons is motivated by what he really does for people and not like by money. And that's where Richard Simmons replied and said, thank you for your kind words, XO. So
because they haven't made a microphone that could keep up with him.
Anyway, well, Jason, thank you very much for the call. I'm going to let you go, but I just wanted to address one other thing you brought up, like just way in passing at the very beginning of your call, and you probably didn't even mean to go here, but I just want to make sure I clear the air on something. I am totally fine with our callers using we. That's totally fine because this is the show where every gamer has a voice, and it is your show as well as our show. So when you call in and talk about we talked about this, or we did, so we is fine anytime.
We did. We the community. We the VOG.
All right. Well, now we're going to hang up on you.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, buddy.
See you guys.
Bye. 1-877-GAME-OLR, our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. If you'd like to get through. I was going to read some tweets, but I wasn't really seeing a whole lot on the Twitters this week for questions or things like that. There was a lot of activity, but it was mostly just like some talking back and forth. That's how we got our guest for October 12th was through Twitter, but I'll talk more about that next week. I did see one quick little tweet here. There's the one I wanted to see. From Red the Haze had tweeted us saying, Sky and Dark Sakura and OLR, this sounds like up y'all's alley. F-Zero meets Audio Surf. And it's a game called Spectre Game. The only issue I had with it is that it's like only available for like systems I don't have, like Xbox One and Windows Phone, but I think it said it was coming to iOS at some point as well and Android, so that's kind of cool. And Chip Zell does the music to it, and you honestly sold me right there because she's great. Like Super Hexagon's like one of the greatest soundtracks out there. But anyway, we are getting other calls, so let's get to it. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Hey, it's Ron. What's up, everyone?
Hey, not much. How are you?
I am good. Rob, get the coffee. We got a dish. We got a dish.
All right. Well, we're going to dish more. We've got to dish so much tonight. I love it. What are we dishing about?
Okay. I don't know if you remember, but 2 years ago I called in and did my review of Otakon, and I talked about a particular fan game that was more or less based on the convention itself called Crisis Heart Brawlers.
Sort of. I mean, you talk about a lot of cons on this show, but I do remember this whole talk about like a game. Yeah. I sort of remember this. Yeah.
Well, they had a Kickstarter to raise the funds, and an article popped up recently, like, where are they now? Like, what's going on? Evidently, I think they hit their funds with the Kickstarter, but as with most Kickstarters, when it comes to independent games, it's not enough to fill what they need to do. So pretty much, I think you have a pretty good idea where this went.
Down the toilet?
More or less. A couple of friends of mine who were voice acting in the game pretty much had to beg the studio to pay them, pretty much.
Wow. And
when I had discussed this, a friend of a friend messaged me and pretty much told me before the Kickstarter, this guy who was behind the studio, he financially back this guy to get some of these projects off the ground. Pretty much, this guy, I like to call him a poor man Steve Jobs cross P.T. Barnum.
Wow. Well, the good news is, good in quotes, is that these types of Kickstarters aren't really going to work in the future because, Kickstarter changed their terms of service like 2 weeks ago, and it can't legally retroactively apply to old Kickstarters. But moving forward, people that donate to Kickstarters that don't get anything as a result will have the right to take legal action against the people that do the Kickstarter. So don't be going on Kickstarter planning to steal people's money, because you're going to be hurting.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. And I've dealt with a few Kickstarters in the past, I've covered, where it gets quiet. Nobody knows what's going on. The people who backed it start raising hell, and then the people behind the Kickstarter just miraculously show up out of nowhere and just start, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. And they start sending out the gifts, the prizes, and everything. As per this one, he appeared saying the game is still in production, but that's the last of it. No gifts or anything have been passed out. And between you and me, if I had Kickstarted $500 to this, I'd be ready to hang somebody.
But how's the convention doing in spite of all this? I mean, did it have any type of official blessing of the convention or no?
They did.
Oh.
But because there was no updates or changes or anything, they've pulled out of the project. So the game is now called Crisis Heart Brawlers.
Ah.
Instead of like at Otakon or whatever, Because
Gotcha.
the Otacorp felt that they didn't want to be attached to it because there has been no updates, and it kind of seems very unprofessional.
It's vaporware.
Yeah. Actually, the person that told me this information, he pretty much believes it's going to be vaporware, because the same issue I see with Kickstarter, when people kickstart video games and other projects and so forth, I tell people, start small and build your way up.
Mm-hmm.
This guy started out big and wanted to keep going bigger. He was trying to do something. He was trying to pretty much one-up Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game.
Well, now what about what Loki's doing? Because Loki refuses to build a Pong clone. He's going big on his first project. But, of course, he hasn't taken a dime from anybody either.
Well, that's okay, because it's his own money, so hey.
That's right.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it will definitely help, but no, I haven't done a Kickstarter yet. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I probably would, actually.
But you're waiting till you actually have like something done, and you want to kickstart more like the publishing of the title is what I'm.
Yeah,
kinda
pretty
getting,
much,
right?
because
Yeah.
I don't really need anything for the development because it's just my time. I'm not going to hire like people, coders and stuff like that. I would need it's basically just music and any software that I have to pay for the licensing
You should
for.
get Marissa to do narration for you.
Well, yeah, I was thinking her, and I have another friend that does voice acting too. So I've got people lined
I want
up.
to be in it.
I'll be
I can
good.
use my
Voice
wacky
acting.
morning DJ voice.
Hey, that's fine.
You're playing the Loki game.
Hey, more talent, the better. Okay, I'm down with that. Otherwise, I don't want to deal with the
Talent.
voice.
I'll
Well,
make-
Marissa is true talent, but
I'll make
with
a
me,
logo.
talent.
I'll make
go.
your flyers.
There you go. Everybody
We'll
excels
do video
in
game
something.
posters.
Everybody excels in something. We can
I'll
all
do
help
cabinet
someone.
art.
There you go.
All right.
That sounds pretty cool, because that was one of the main problems with this. This guy who wanted to make this, he has no software experience. He was just a rep. He was bringing people in to design this game based off of his idea.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a lot harder to put those types of Kickstarters through in the future. That's for damn sure.
That's good.
All right. Well, Rama, I'm out of coffee now, so.
Well, maybe Sailor Chibi Arthur can get you some.
That thing has been posted to my Facebook wall 3 times now, but it's great.
I believe in
Cracks me up.
Sailor B.
Me too. I would probably watch more Sailor Moon if it was the Golden Girls starring in it. Let's be real. Not that I'm hating. I just
I know you're not hating,
there's only
because
so many shows you can
once all the DVDs come out through Viz, Alan's going to get them, and he's going to sit you down, and you're going to have a Moon marathon.
No, he'll
No,
be too busy
Alan's
playing.
going to be on the left.
No.
Jamie's going to be on the right, and you're going to be stuck in the middle.
He'll
so
be too
enjoy.
busy. He'll be too busy
I'm
playing
in-
Final Fantasy 14.
I'm still just gonna kidnap Rob and sit him down with my Crunchyroll subscription.
No, I'm talking about the original 200 episodes, the classic, not Crystal.
I like Crystal.
I know, but I'm just saying the DVDs. I already have mine pre-ordered, so.
I'm not bothering because I've actually still got my fan subs. If that says anything, I still have my raw copies.
I still have my fan subs too, but I am really enjoying the the dub so far. So I'm just
refusal.
All right, nerds. I'm ending this talk so we can get more
pot
calls.
Rob,
Well, yeah.
pot meets kettle.
I know, right? Hey, did you go to the Hyrule Warriors thing at the Nintendo store?
I would have, but there was something stopping me. It's called work.
Don't.
Yes.
Hate it when we get foiled by work.
Yes. And one more thing before I get out of here. I know people have given me shit for this on my own Facebook, but a deal is a deal. Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13, $40 at Target. You can't beat that.
I'm gonna hold out, and maybe the Steam version will be even cheaper. That's
I don't like the first one's like what, $12 on Steam right now.
I have all three for the PS3, and much as I know everyone enjoys Steam, but I'd rather play a game like this in front of my 32-inch instead of my little inky-dinky 21-inch.
I completely understand.
I like having my 2 monitors so that I can actually just jabber with people while I'm playing my game.
Everybody's got their thing.
And not hurt my hand.
All right, I'm going to let you go. Take care, buddy.
You got it, bro.
All right, Anime Jam Session. Listen to it, or I'll kick you in the foot.
I want to be on it again.
Listen to the show, or else Mako-chan will come after you, and that's not going to be pretty.
That's not good.
Ron-chan, I want to be on again.
Working on it.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
All right.
1-877-GAME-OLR, or a username on Skype is orangeloungeradio. How about any? I doubt there is any, but I'm going to check with Loki anyway. Is there any last minute stories?
No.
I had a feeling.
I have a last minute statement. There's cake waiting for me at Becky's house.
Where's my cake?
You could come with me. I'm sure she'd give you cake.
I would, but I have to.
It's pumpkin chocolate.
I have to go pick up Alan, and I have to edit the show, and I have to take this phone call because we got at least one more call coming in. Let's get to it. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
A seg enters Orange Lounge Radio audio broadcast.
I'll throw a pester ball.
Quick, get up defensive shields. Whoop, red alert.
Sex howdy, how y'all doing?
Great. You know what? Since you couldn't be here in person, this is the next best thing, right?
Yeah. I was even thinking this afternoon, like, I wonder, well.
You're always welcome. Just try to let me know in advance, because
No, I know. That's why I figured. I didn't let you know in advance. Like, it's too late.
Well, honestly,
we've gone too far.
If you told me this afternoon, I would have been like, sure, I ain't got anything going on tonight. But anyway, Seg, of all the many things you've commented on during the show tonight, I'm dying to know which one you called in about. What's up?
Well, just to bring back on home a little bit and to expand on that, first of all, I think it needs to be said that was going on for 5 years. How long? And
it's been a while.
I think that's really a credit that it ran so long.
Yes, because at least and I would credit Sony with that, because Microsoft would have pulled the plug on it in 9 months if their track record is any indication. Hello Game Room, hello 1 versus 100, hello Connect. Anyway, I actually credit Sony a little more for believing in that, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. But and what I don't like to necessarily just go, oh, it's closing, therefore it was bad, but try to learn from it. And I think that's what we all should do, is just celebrate what it was with for all its good and bad, and expand from it.
Well, and it was, I don't think. This is sort of something that was inevitable. As PlayStation 3s come off of the living room shelves and get replaced with PlayStation 4s, the real question became not, when is PlayStation Home going to disappear from PlayStation 3, but are they going to continue it on PlayStation 4? And unfortunately, it appears the answer is no, if we're hearing about layoffs. Yeah,
which is sad, but I at least with this, they know it's coming and it's schedulable, and it's and like they have 5 years to look to point at. So.
Yes, and which you can't always do in the games industry. I mean, we hear all these stories every day about Microsoft just axed 8,000 people today.
Yeah.
It's just like, so at least there's that sort of dignity with it. So that's really good.
So the other pivot I want to make, and I know it's a little bit promotion-y, but there's actually a street fair for video games coming up again in the LA area called Indiecade.
Oh, I want to go to this so bad.
Oh, please do.
I can't. I'm literally in Vegas the very next week. It's like this next weekend, right?
But what if I were to give you and your listeners a discount code for Indiecade?
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. Well, you can still get the listeners the code because I know we have listeners in the LA area who would have a lot more realistic chance of going.
Yeah, so ICF14-FF-love is the weird code.
I love that. One more time. To get your pen and paper, people. One more time.
Yeah, it is ICF14-FF-love.
Love. I love it.
And the reason is that I'm going to be back there again, and I'm going to be professional extrovert again for Squinky, because their follow-up, I don't know, it's not really a follow-up piece, but the piece that they worked on after Dominique Pamplemousse is up for awards.
Ooh.
It's called Coffee: A Misunderstanding. And thank you, chat, for typing in the code in chat. So it's called Coffee: A Misunderstanding, and it's a interactive performing arts piece featuring the Performatron, because Squinky really is good at naming things. And it's for people and whatever musicians decide to show up for it. And two people control the dialogue tree of a play that two other people are acting, and everyone has mobile devices that are picking the lines or reading the lines. And there's dynamic sheet music to it.
Oh, wait a minute. So this is like a multiplayer game.
You could say that, yeah.
Oh, this sounds, and it's mobile. Like we were just, again, you really have to listen to last week's show because we talked about Fibbage with Jackbox Games, and they're doing the whole mobile phone thing. And after having played that, I was like, oh my God, like, why did it take this long for somebody to think to use a mobile phone as a controller? And now you're talking about this is now happening in the indie scene too.
Yep.
Amazing.
So if you're going to pick one day, pick the Saturday because of night games, so Indiecade is a street festival. For video games. Think of like a film. It has a lot more heavy of a film festival vibe as far as its structure. There's no films being shown there, but it has this sort of structure of a film festival. And that all the games there were selected to be there. It's not, I mean, there are a few sponsor booths, but the games that are there in general didn't pay to get in. They were picked, they applied to and got picked to showcase.
Yeah, it's very similar to a film festival because I'm involved with a horror. Even though I hate horror films, I'm still involved with. I love cult films, and they kind of bleed together a little bit, pun intended. Mm-hmm. I'm involved with a horror film festival here in Sac, and it's a really big thing for NorCal, and it's a very similar process.
Yes. So, so during the day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're showing the selection, but on Saturday night, they close out those games, and out come the night games. And I don't know what's going to be shown this year, except for one piece called Coffee: A Misunderstanding. But the games that are very much heavy installation pieces or just have a lot of tech or something strange and weird get played. So if you go the Saturday, make sure you're going like afternoon to play the stuff that's shown in the daytime, and then night games after, which starts, I want to say 8, but look on the website for the full details. Well, and if you see me there, please say hello.
I don't mind you pimping at all because even though, sadly, it's not going to work out for me to go to LA because I'm literally taking a trip the very next week already, I did go by the Indiecade booth at E3. They had a really big presence at E3 this year, and it was one of my very favorites because that was like one of the only booths or I could just walk right up and talk to the person that made the game. You can't do that at any other booth at E3. And I don't care if your game is a AAA multi-billion-dollar Destiny title or if it's a small thing that was made in your basement. You know, is it fun? ? And when I can talk to the people that made them and really feel that enthusiasm, you know, it raises my enthusiasm tenfold. So... And, you know, that's the great thing about something like this and with the Street Festival and everything is that you'll be able to walk up and talk to people who are enthusiastic about the game. Like Seg says, he's a paid professional extrovert.
Yes. and it's also, at least for Indiecade, it's such a refreshing vibe than, I'll say the conference or the con scene, whether it be Comic-Con and all the various flavors or PAX or because there's a lot more... non-game people that show up that really makes it a different tone of a place that you don't get anywhere else. So I highly recommend it if you're in the area. Say hello. I hope Errol Flint's Soray is there. Which think PlayStation Move controllers in I think it was an 8x8 grid hanging from the ceiling.
What?
And then it's 4 players. You hold 2 of the controllers at the corners. That's where everyone starts. And your PlayStation Move controller will show a color of the ones that you're holding, and everyone has one of 4 colors. And then one of them turns off, and there's another one somewhere in the grid that you have to hit to quote-unquote swing over. It's not like American Gladiators where you're actually swinging, but you find your color and hold on to that one. And the moment you do, a few seconds later, the one that you were always holding turns off, and you have to find another one that has your color, and so on. And then as the game progresses, the time in which to do that increases. And so eventually people lose and get dropped out, and the last person standing wins.
That sounds crazy expensive with all those Move controllers. So
it's the same people who did I'm
Sports
forgetting
Friends?
the name of it.
Is it Sports Friends?
Yeah, it's in Sports Friends.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of the game.
Yeah. The one with the fencing.
you'll think of it as soon as you hit the hang up button. It's the way
Will
it goes.
do.
All right. Well, hey, quick. So anybody in the LA area or even remotely close that's willing to take the drive, check it out. Indicate. And I even though I can't go myself, just based on what I've seen previously at E3 and so forth, your time will not be wasted, and you're going to find games you haven't heard about before. And I think that's such a refreshing, great thing.
Yes. So, and if you see me there, say hello. Try to not make it as creepy.
All right. Say hi and don't be creepy. All right.
Yes.
All right. Seg, thanks so much for calling in. I got to let you go so we can wrap up, though.
Yep.
right,
Great hearing from you guys.
It's
I'll talk to you later.
Johann Sebastian Joust.
Yes, that's it.
There it. Oh, I've heard about that. Okay.
Or maybe it's Johann. I don't know.
That was the night games way back in the day too.
Nice. All right, Seg, buddy. Have fun and take lots of pictures because remember what they say: Pixar didn't happen.
Yep, totally.
Take care,
Except
my
for
friend.
things that don't need to happen.
All
All right.
Bye.
Take care, folks.
All right, that's awesome. The Seg's going to be at IndieCade. Well, I knew he was going to IndieCade, but I wish I could go. It sounds like fun, but too many road trips. I'm already going to LA in November for BlizzCon, which I know is really Anaheim, and the SoCal people get pissed off when I call Orange County LA. But you know what? When you're driving, it's LA. It's one big blur. It's LA. Anyway, that is going to do it for the Skype line, and that is really going to just about wrap up our show. In fact, Dark Sakura, she had to head out, so she's already out of here. So sadly, we will not get to hear her final thought, but I'm sure it has something to do with cake. I'm sure that's what her final thought was. But we'll go around. Loki, you have a final thought for us tonight?
My final thought is last week I work.
Wow.
The last 2 days. Well, technically I'm not working. I'm just showing up at work to clean my desk and eat pizza and whatever breakfast donuts that they bring in and then program in my game. So I'm going to get lots of work done on my game. Well, I'm going to apply for jobs too, but I'm also going to get lots of work done on my game in this time that I have off because I'm going to be home with the baby for most of the week, and then he's going to be going to daycare for the rest of it. And so, yeah, I'm just going to
But if you have a job lead for
crunch.
Loki, local people, if you have a job lead for Loki, let us know. Email the show.
Customer service, as long as it's not fucking direct sales, because I've gotten contacted. I am not going door to door or in a parking lot or something like that.
If your only experience with Loki is this show, you may not believe that he's great with customer service, but think of this show as a release. He really is good with the customer service stuff. He had his job for a very long time and was very good at what he did.
14 and a half years.
Oh, my God. Well, you know what?
In the distribution industry, what are you going to do?
You know what? It'll lead to something better. It really will. Something with advancement. All right, and my final thought for tonight is, oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't really have a final thought. My final thought is I'm going to IKEA to get this thing a stand to sit on so I can take pictures of it and put it online and everybody can oogle this arcade cabinet. That'll be
Not
awesome.
yet. I have to still make.
When
In
you
fact, that's what I'm going to be working on is a marquee.
I'll
Because
put my hand over the marquee so people can't see it.
Well, I'll make a new marquee. New marquee looks awesome. I just haven't figured out what else to put in the background because I have some DDR arrows in there. But it's very much like Street Fighter Cross Tekken. But
That's awesome. It's minimalist is okay. You don't have to go crazy.
I
crowded
know.
like this
I
one.
understand that. I may take the DDR arrows out and just do a gradient and then
Right.
print. And then
Talk to Cody. That guy's great with graphics. Jamie's good too. They probably got a lot of ideas.
I just wanted to make something real quick just to replace because right now it says my company's name Games Arcade in there, and it's got a really cool background. I wish I'd saved it because then I could just remove our company logo out of it and just put this. But the new one's pretty cool too. And I was like, damn, do I have colored buttons that match that? Because that would have been cool to do the orange and purple buttons, but I don't.
Oh, well. Hey, I want to thank you guys for listening to the show and participating with the show, be it through the podcast or listening to us live, however you choose to participate with Orange Lounge Radio. We just want you to know how much we appreciate your support. If you like what you heard here at Orange Lounge Radio, you know what? We don't beg for your money or anything. All we ask, we beg for a little bit of your time to help us spread the word about Orange Lounge Radio. Tell a friend or two about the show and help spread the word. That's all we ask here at Orange Lounge Radio. And that'll do it. We will be back next week with another episode to recap the week's news. Smash Brothers 3DS will be out by then, so I'm sure we're going to have a lot of chatter with that. Maybe some matches during the show. Who knows? We'll be talking about the Destiny patch, and is the loot system bearable? We'll find out next week on another episode of Orange Lounge Radio. See you then. Good night.
You've been listening to Orange Lounge Radio. Orange Lounge Radio is a production of OLR Studios. To join us for a live show, tune into VogNetwork.com Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The views and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff of Orange Lounge Radio or Vog Network, but you know they were all still true. See you next week.